It's the All Jammed Up Podcast, and I'm Clint Dodson.
Well, I heard old Leopard coming from a mile and a half away. I stepped out on the street there, and here's what I had to say. I said, hey now, slow that old thing down. This city ain't your highway, and you're tearing up my town. Now, Leopard, racing from the sun. Got a 502 with a Deutsche Bell, he's letting the ponies run.
Good morning, everybody. Today is January 27th. I hope you guys had a great weekend, man, because I sure as hell did. I just got back from One Wood Brewing West. You know One Wood Brewing. Shouts out my sponsor. Shouts out Lisa. It was Bear's 50th birthday this week, and what he wanted for his birthday was a Sons of Star show, and they played from 2 to 5, and then he wanted Funkle Sam, which is another local Grateful Dead band in the Asheville area, and they played from sometime after 5 to sometime in the evening, man. That was the longest soundtrack I ever had, but it was a really awesome show, and it kind of reminded me again why I moved to Asheville. It's just a really awesome scene. I got to meet some really cool people this weekend. I got to meet Nick, who brews the beer for One Wood Brewing. He's a really cool guy. I think we'll probably have him on the show in the near future, I hope. But besides just the show that we went to today, I also went to Charlottesville, Virginia. I interviewed Brian Roy with Kendall Street Company. He's the bass player. If you've ever seen Kendall Street Company, he's the guy that wears the robes. And then I also went to Massanutten to interview the Young Bucks of Wolf, WOLPH Wolf. They're a Grateful Dead cover band, but they do a couple of originals. They cover some Goose too, and they do a lot of different things. But it was a really good weekend, man. But today's guest, all that aside, we'll hear more about Wolf on Thursday. That's our guest on Thursday. But today's guest was Brian Roy. And I got to go to his apartment in Charlottesville, and I think we had a really meaningful conversation. You know, I think last week both conversations were strictly about music, and that's awesome. You know, that's what this scene is about, is music. But there's so much more to this scene than just the music. Brian's got a chance to do interviews with people in the past. I think he said he was just on Andy Frasco's podcast not that long ago. And he told me he was always kind of representing the band, so he didn't get a chance to go on his tangents. And he got a chance to go on a tangent this week. We talk about all kinds of things, man. We talk about free will. We talk about AI. We talk about sports betting. We talk about fast food. And we talk about the origins of Kendall Street. And we talk about so many things. It's a 2-hour interview. We're on our Joe Rogan shit this week. It's a really long interview, 2 hours, but I really think it's a good interview, man. If you have the time, take the time to listen to it. Maybe 30 minutes on work today, 30 minutes on the way back, and then do it again tomorrow and Tuesday before the next episode Thursday. But it's a really good interview, and I think he really paints a picture of what it's like to be a musician and the things that they have to deal with as financially and spiritually, I guess you could say too. I really enjoyed my interview with Brian. I don't want to yap too much more, man. It's a 2-hour interview, so I hope you guys can buckle in. I hope you guys take the time to listen to it. It was really fun. I had a lot of fun. Kendall Street's been a band I've been following since I was at JMU. I saw them when I was like probably 20, 21 years old, and they just put on a great show. But without any further ado, I want to stop yapping. So here it is, Brian Roy.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm.
How is it going, everybody? I am here with Brian Roy from Kendall Street Company and Local Dead People.
Yeah, how's it going?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good.
I haven't cracked mine up. I got to crack mine up. Get that nice sound on the microphone.
Yeah.
This is now an ASMR podcast.
It sounds pretty good on my... Yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
I hope you all are sufficiently relaxed.
All right, Brian Roy, let's get right into it, man. How you doing?
Oh, wait, we got to do the cheers.
Oh, yeah, we gotta do our cheers.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I was trying to think of a good way to start this on our way here, so I wanted to call you the subterranean sensation for you guys' cave concert last night.
I am a big fan of alliteration,
Yeah.
so that works. Subterranean sensation. It was super fun. Last night we got to play Grand Caverns in Grottoes, Virginia, and it's in this cave. And they tell you you're playing in a cave, but you get there, it's like it's a full on spelunk. It's like a 10-minute walk into the cave, and these are beautiful caverns, like really, really beautiful. We played in a cave one time before in Tennessee, at the caverns, but that's like a big, it's a big cave mouth, right? Yeah. This is like you're in a cave,
I saw the Instagram you guys posted, and it was like a speed, whatever it's called, and like speed up time. And I saw the walk through it, and I was like, damn, that looks like it's quite a walk. So it was like 10 minutes to get to the actual stage and stuff.
Yeah, I mean 10 if you go slow. You can make, by now I've done the trip like 6 times yesterday, so today I can probably do it in 5.
Is it a pretty big show?
Yeah, they cap it at 75.
Okay.
Nice. Because they try to preserve the cave. They do tours in there. It's a really interesting space. They I guess it was discovered in the early 1800s, and they had like balls in there. Like with ball gowns and stuff. Not testicles. And I mean, I guess inherently they go everywhere with you.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so there was balls at the ball.
Yeah, always. Like the AC/DC song.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess let's just kind of start with you before we get into Kendall Street a little bit. If anyone's seen Kendall Street or seen Brian, he always, what'd you call him?
Kaftans.
So where did that come from, always wearing those?
So I'm not in one right now. There's more warm weather wear in general. A lot of equatorial regions around the world have these because they cover your body from the sun, but still air out effectively because, when it's so hot in the sun. Yeah. And it started actually because we won the Rockin' to Lockin' contest in 2017. Lockin', RIP, great music festival.
They don't do it at all anymore?
No, they don't, and it was very close to here, maybe 45 minutes. There have been some other things on the grounds and stuff, and always rumblings of bringing it back.
Is the same place?
No, Floyd Fest was down in Floyd, but there were some ecological concerns, and it actually moved. Actually, really fun. I remember reading an article about Floyd Fest moving. I don't know why this stuck with me, but it's an environmentalist said, like, it's a bog turtle genocide. And I was like, that's a metal band name. Bog Turtle Genocide is a good band name. But, so Floyd Fest is down a little farther south, a little farther west from here than that. Lockin' was more like 45 minutes just right over in Nelson County, I think. Them and their one traffic light. And so they have a contest, or had a contest every year, Battle of the Bands. I'm not a huge fan of the Battle of the Bands model in general, right? I mean, it's like, it's music, it's art, it's culture. Like, I don't like
making it a competition
or the rhetoric of the fight. Like, I get a plan to get a spot at a festival or whatever. It's in some ways it's kind of fun and helps build up smaller bands. We won, and that was huge for us. But still, the idea of like I still remember when we were playing the shows, and like, the finals were at like the Jefferson Theater, a mile from my apartment. And, I'm friends with everybody who's in all these other bands, you know what I mean? So like that cutthroatness is just not
for you,
not good vibes. Right. But anyway, so we won the contest for 2017, and we got to play at Lockin', which was a crazy, awesome experience. For those who don't know Lockin', their kind of shtick, they had their main stage it has a circular platform that rotates.
Okay.
So there was no break between bands. Like the other band would be setting up facing the backstage, and then it would just turn around. So we actually got to kick off the festival with a 30-minute set, and like the second that we finished playing, the stage just starts moving. Like you're on the stage, it starts moving, and then it's Humphreys McGee playing right after us, which was like so mind-blowingly cool.
For the first time at Halloween this year, and
great band.
It was like not really what I was expecting. I never really listened to them too much. I try not to listen to like bands' studio stuff first. I just wait till I see them and then listen to their studio stuff, because I don't feel like it's a really fair representation. And so I never really listened to Humphreys McGee that much. And then I saw their show, and I was like, these guys they're like metal jam almost.
Yeah, no, they've got a lot of that. They go pretty hard. Mm-hmm. I've seen them a handful of times. It's always a really great show, so I recommend going out to see them. I'm really sad, actually. I missed. They were just in Charlottesville a couple days ago, but I had I work part time at a movie theater, popping the corns and serving up beers. So I had a shift, so I missed the show. But yeah, long story short, we were gonna play Lockin', and I always tried to kind of dress flashy, provocative, or whatever, and then I knew it was going to be like 100 degrees. I think it ended up being like 98, not a cloud in the sky, but humid, Virginia humidity still. And so I knew it'd be miserable. And I was at a Goodwill and I came across this kaftan and was like, oh, I bet this is awesome for wearing in that setting.
Yeah.
So I wore it and it was really comfy. And then I started just over time collecting them and wearing them. And it kind of got to the point where it sort of has become my thing in a way. So I try to wear them at all the shows. Nice. Sometimes it doesn't happen if the stage is too cold or in certain environments. But stages are really hot because hot air is less dense than cold air for some science, and so you have the lights blaring. Yeah, ASMR science, and heat kind of gets sucked up from the bodies, and everybody in a room gets sucked up to the stage because it's higher up. So add that to the lights and everything, and it can be really hot up there. So it's really comfy, and I enjoy it also. And it's, I collect them and I like wearing them. So I wear them, like I'll wear them to the grocery store or whatever. And sometimes the band is like, they'll laugh a little because they're like, I forget how kind of ridiculous you look. They've said those words to me. I forget how ridiculous you look. Sometimes like we're out just like at a gas station and I'm out like smoking a cigarette in a kaftan and people are like, who are you?
Do you, so there was a show you guys played in Richmond. Like, it was the day before Dead & Co. in Bristow, like 2 years ago. So sometime in June, you guys played somewhere in Richmond. It was a really weird venue.
I have to stop you because that was a really good poem. It was, what did you say? It was in Bristow before Dead & Co. 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even catch on to that.
Long time ago.
Do you know the show I'm talking about, though?
I don't. I've actually never seen Dead & Co.
I know, but before... Okay, so I guess I missed that part. The day before Dead & Co., you guys played a show in Richmond at this weird venue that was outdoors attached to a restaurant, but the restaurant wouldn't let us order food or drinks from there. And I can't remember what it was, and it's not really that important in the story, but I took some mushrooms that night, and I had, like, not a great experience on mushrooms. And it was the end of the set. I just, like, ran into some people I didn't want to see, and it just wasn't ideal situation.
That's the worst when you're on psychedelics.
Yeah.
And you're like, sometimes I'm in the mood to talk a little bit.
Because I'm from Virginia, lived in Richmond for a few years, and then moved away. So whenever I go to Richmond, I always run into people. And I just ran into some people I didn't want to see. But anyways, at the end of the show had ended, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the bathroom before we leave and get in my ride. And like I said, I was still kind of going through it. And I come out of the bathroom, and there you are. And you just go... You look like you needed that. You gave me a hug and walked away. Do you remember that?
I'm kind of embarrassed to say I do not.
It was funny because like in that moment, it was exactly what I needed. I was like, oh.
I'm glad I was able to give you that, though. Definitely.
That's funny. So then, do you play any other instruments other than bass?
I mean, bass is my really primary instrument. I started on upright. I was classical upright bassist growing up. I started in 4th grade. It was actually my plan to get out of piano. I had like a cartoonishly stereotypical. I started piano in 3rd grade, and I had a cartoonishly stereotypical Eastern European piano instructor who would like hit your hands with a ruler and stuff. So I hated it, right? And then they came to my 4th grade. They do like you start in 4th grade. So in 3rd grade, they came to the school and did a showcase of orchestra instruments. You could start orchestra in 4th grade, but the band didn't start till 5th grade. So my plan to get out of piano lessons, because my parents were like, you made a commitment to this, was to actually play and tell them I wanted to play the big one. The upright bass, because I was like, then they'll be like, oh, okay, we don't like that's expensive. You don't have to do that. So I told them that, and they were like, great, we'll get you an upright bass. So I was like, oh, this backfired. But then I loved it. I had a knack for it, and kept doing it. And then through high school, I was in like 3 or 4 orchestras. I had rehearsals like every night. Like I was in a semi-pro orchestra at one point near the end of my high school career, so to speak. And But I realized I don't really have the practice regimen to be doing the 8 hours a day required to be a classical upright bass player. And I do love improvising. And I was always getting in trouble in orchestra because I was teaching myself music theory. So like we'd have a piece that has a boring bass part and I'd be like improvising on it. And the director would be like, I know that this is easy for you, but you got it. You got to play what's on the page, you know?
So were you... Like before Kendall Street, were you in any like high school bands or anything like that with some buddies, or was it Kendall Street first?
I was in some other things. I got my first electric bass probably when I was 16 or 17, but I didn't start seriously playing it or trying to actually learn it until after I joined Kendall Street Company, weirdly enough.
So you were naturally just good at stand-up bass, and then that translated to electric bass?
Well, stand-up is honestly like a lot more difficult in a lot of ways than electric bass. I mean, that's a tough thing to say. I don't totally mean that 100% because there's a lot of intricacies to any instrument or whatever. But you know, electric bass has frets, so you have a little bit of wiggle room on where your finger lands. You know, in an upright, it's fretless. I mean, you can play a fretless electric, and then that difference is gone, right? But a lot of it translates, you know, the theory is all the same, the tuning is the same, and all that. So it translated pretty well. And actually, like, even though I had an electric bass, I never really played with it that much. I did kind of jam around with some people in high school, never any really serious bands. And then in college, when I got here, I kind of wanted to get into it more, and I joined... a band for, I don't know if we have anything online. We were called Paper Gold. It was some locals here that I found on Craigslist.
Not as good as Frog Genocide.
Bog Turtle Genocide.
Bog Turtle Genocide.
Bog Turtle Genocide. And yeah, so then I met Lewis actually, and he had a show coming up with this friend who played saxophone, and so we went and he kind of auditioned me a bit, like he gave me some stuff in advance, and I showed up and he was like, oh, this is great. So, but I played only upright bass for maybe the first year we played together. We weren't Kendall Street Company yet, but we were playing as the Lewis Smith Band, shows around UVA. Wahoo wah, I got my shoes on.
Go Dukes.
Get some fisticuffs going after this podcast. But yeah, so we lost my train of thought. Now I'm in the sports rivalry.
We're Lewis Smith. Band.
So we started playing, and we were playing frats and stuff, and I was taking my like upright bass to frats, and I was just like, I gotta dig into the electric bass. So I started doing that.
In like 2018, were you guys playing at JMU?
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I saw you guys.
We definitely were. We did a lot in the like college scene. In Virginia, especially.
I feel like I remember like stumbling around some Saturday and found you guys when I'm like drank 15 bushes or something, and now if I did that, I would be out of commission for 3 days.
Oh yeah, I know, man. It's crazy some of the stuff we did back then. There were weekends we had in college here, like when we were just getting started, where we would play. Like maybe a Thursday night, a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, a Saturday night, and a Sunday afternoon. Just like go over to the next frat. We'd make like $300 or whatever. At the end of the weekend, all of us have like $400 or $500 in our pocket. Plus we got like
you're the richest guy in the world.
A bunch of beer. Yeah, and you're just like, damn, this is awesome. And you don't realize you're totally undervaluing yourself playing for like $300. But that's part of how you get the name out there, and it worked really well because University of Virginia is a pretty big school. Yeah. So after we graduated, a lot of people that knew us from that scene, they moved to Denver, they moved to New York City, they moved to DC, they moved to Philadelphia, wherever. So it helps you have a little bit of a foundational base. Yeah, touring wider.
I moved to Richmond I moved to New York after college, and then I hated it, so I came back to Richmond like 3 months later, and I used to see you guys all the time, and I remember like bringing all my friends, and they're like, yeah, those guys are off, and even in Florida where I moved, I like got a bunch of my friends into you guys, so I guess that does translate. Just like if you stick to it locally, the wings will spread.
Definitely.
Not locally.
Well, that's the thing. You go. Someone moves, they make friends, and say you got to go see this band. It's a really fun time. And then some of our biggest fans are people that were friends of somebody who was like come. See. I mean, I guess that's how it works.
When are you guys
right?
coming to Asheville?
I don't know. We were gonna play in Asheville with opening for Pigeons playing ping pong.
And that got canceled.
Great guys, by the way. Love that band. and it got canceled because of the storms and the floods and
everything got
which
canceled.
was unfortunate. So the show got moved to Chattanooga, which was really fun because I don't know, we'd maybe played. I don't know if we'd ever played Chattanooga, or maybe we had one time or something, but it was a city that we hadn't really played. So it was nice to be able to play Chattanooga. But it's been a year now since we've been to Asheville. So I know we're looking to book something in the next few months, but nothing solidified yet.
The Salvage Station, I think, was like the biggest. I'm new to Asheville, so Salvage Station seems like it was the biggest venue for.
That was such a cool place.
Yeah,
man.
and it's gone like completely now, which is terrible. That is a huge fly.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. High living here on the first floor of an apartment building.
What were we just saying? I had something to go, and that fly distracted me.
Oh, this is like that episode of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite episode.
She had never seen Breaking Bad and was like, I don't think it's good.
I had like a vendetta against it. It was like everyone said it was so good, and I was like, it can't be that good.
So
I understand that feeling pretty strongly, actually. So I think it's a great show.
it's the best show. We watched it and she loved it.
I wouldn't call it the best. See, for me, the thing with Breaking Bad is that it went on too long. You can tell that in the first season they didn't know they were going to get renewed. Really, they maybe got renewed for one more season, and then it was like, we're going to give you 5. And so the plot went like into season, like the first 2 seasons was really phenomenal television, and then like you get to season 3.
Season
and
3
it's
can
like,
drag on,
and then it keeps going, and then slight spoiler alert, but as soon as once there's like a Tommy gun coming out the back of a car shooting all the people, perfect. I'm like but I'm just, it all culminates in that, of course, because it's just so outrageous at that point. They've drawn it on. Like, I love.
Why is he a prisoner?
Because he was still the only guy who could cook the meth that good.
Because they were making a lot of money and they needed more episodes. Like,
From him jumping out a window to
Brian Roy, biggest Breaking Bad hater.
No, I'm not. I thought it was a great show, but I am a bit of a critic. Like I mentioned earlier, I work part time in a movie theater. I like film a lot. I actually love
All
what.
right, stop it right there. I interviewed Alex Bazemore. Shouts out Alex Bazemore 2 episodes ago. Big movie guy. Top 5 movies, go.
Oh, top 5 is really hard. Okay, Princess Bride.
Okay, I've seen that one.
Nazca of the Valley of the Wind.
Have not seen that one.
Definitely Battle Royale.
I don't know what that one is.
It's great. It's a Japanese film. I think late '90s or early. It's what's the news? I'm tip of the tongue. And Katniss Everdeen.
Okay, Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, right? So a Hunger Games author of the books basically saw Battle Royale and then like plagiarized it.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of the same idea, except the plot
Japanese?
is more loose. Yeah, it's in Japanese.
Okay.
I know Tarantino, I think, really likes the film, which I found out after I'd seen it. But I do like Tarantino, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Kubrick is probably my favorite director ever, but it's hard to pick which Kubrick I would want to throw in my top 5. Maybe Spinal Tap also in the top 5. I just love that movie.
Either.
Oh, you got to see Spinal Tap.
We have a list of movies we need to see because Alex, like I said, he said The Shining and Twister, and those are 2 movies I've never seen, and he was like, you got to see
The
those.
Shining is a phenomenal film. Twister's all right.
That's what I was like, I've never seen Twister. I've never heard. He's like, I love film, and I was like, same thing I do, top 5. And he said Twister. I was like, I've never heard somebody be like, I fucking love Twister, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I just the sequel just came out.
Yeah,
and it was also pretty good.
They don't even make movies anymore. They just make remakes of old movies.
Oh, actually, a really great original film that I really strongly recommend. DreamWorks just released their best film since Shrek, and maybe better than Shrek.
Shrek 2?
The Wild Robot.
The Wild
Or maybe it's
Robot.
just Wild Robot. It's a phenomenal.
down.
It's like I mean, it's maybe kid appropriate. I think it was rated PG. The animation is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Took a minute to get used to, but it's a really beautiful film, and it's like they don't. Disney has whitewashed kids. Oh God, we're gonna get blocked by. They've really made a lot of. There's always these feel good stories, and like there's maybe one bad thing, and the bad character is this like very plain like black and white,
Bad guy.
right and wrong, good and evil kind of deal. Superhero films, that kind of deal too. And in this one, it like reminded me of Bambi. Like there's real sadness and trauma that exists in this movie. So you know, even though it's still appropriate for all ages, like there's really a lot of power there.
I like that.
So I strongly
movie.
recommend it.
Soul? Watched that one pretty recently. I like that one.
I actually have not seen Soul.
Really? As far as like animated movies go, I thought it was pretty good.
It was nice.
We saw a pretty cool thing on YouTube the other day. Someone took like Balloonerism by Mac Miller and made it like a 20-minute short, like kind of just playing the album, like different parts of it, and the guy animated it, and it was really cool. It's pretty cool animation.
Oh, there's a good music in it if you haven't seen Interstellar 5555, which is the Daft Punk movie.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they did an album, back 20 years ago.
Have you seen the movie?
It's an anime film. Maybe there's written dialogue. I haven't seen it in a couple years, but there's very little dialogue, if there's any dialogue.
Okay.
It's really just their music playing, and it's really beautiful anime. Probably pairs incredibly well with psilocybin.
I'll have to check that. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Have you seen the movie? I don't know what it's called, but it's about Brian,
That's me.
the guy from the Beach Boys.
Oh, Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson. Have you seen the movie with him?
I
It's
have
about
not.
him. It's gosh, I don't know any of this stuff.
I know he got kind of like crazy agoraphobic, right? Like he wouldn't leave his house, and
he had like a conservatory person that was kind of like not letting him do things. And it shows like back in the day, he would get like really upset with his band because they only wanted to make like the hits, and he was trying to like make like his own music. And it's a really good movie. I can't remember what it's called, so it's pretty worthless for me to ramble here. But
well, no, it's a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Because the Beach Boys are phenomenal band, and anybody who's getting into music or is a musician or whatever should listen to like the Beach Boys catalog. But I mean, Pet Sounds is one of the most interestingly produced records ever. Like digging into Pet Sounds, though my favorite is Surf's Up, which is some of that more deeper stuff that like it's called Surf's Up, and then it has this like almost like it's like this gray black cover, and I think maybe it's a guy maybe on a horse and he's fading away, or he's I shouldn't describe the cover. I'm probably describing it poorly. I don't know if it's a horse or what, but it's this much deeper, dark album. But there's all sorts of crazy lore about the Beach Boys. I mean, they were hanging with Charles Manson.
yeah,
They
like released.
They released a song.
with
"Cease
him.
to Exist" is the name of the song. It's a pretty good song. That Manson guy wasn't the worst songwriter ever.
Circling back to the Tarantino thing, they have that in that Once Upon a Time Hollywood. He's like makes an appearance trying to sing.
Oh yeah,
in that movie. Yeah.
I thought Tarantino did a good job with that one, because I don't tend to like historical revisionary stuff unless you take like a strong liberties with it. Like Man in the High Castle lost me after a little while. Like I'm a bit of a history buff. I studied history and music at college.
Me too.
And so like when you go with the alternate history stuff or the what ifs, it's just like, where does it end?
Yeah.
But I thought that one was. I mean, at the very least, the movie was very entertaining. I don't think it's his best.
So I studied history in college only a year and a half, and then I was like, I don't want to be a teacher, so I changed my major. But what's your like favorite like era of history that you studied when you were in college?
Oh, I mean, so my it was kind of dark. I studied a lot of and still continue to study and do a lot of research on genocide and civil war. And especially in the 20th century.
Okay.
So relatively modern, kind of darker stuff in general. Though also I did a lot of U.S. and Virginia.
Yeah, U.S. was what I had to write. I took an immigration class and like how immigration has impacted history like throughout history in America, and then like I had to write a 20-page paper on it.
Always fun.
I wrote a 20-page paper on
Start at 2 a.m. and
yeah, pretty much.
Let's do it.
I think I turned in like 17 pages, and I was like, "Here you go, man." But I wrote a paper on how immigration has influenced U.S. youth soccer. That was what my paper was about.
That's cool.
It was pretty like interesting because I'm a soccer player into soccer, and I was like, I have no idea.
Who's your team?
Arsenal.
All
Yeah.
right.
What about you?
Celtic.
Celtic. Okay. I worked in Oregon for a while, and I was internship at a golf course out there, and I met this Scottish dude who's the biggest Rangers fan I ever knew, and like he would like fucking Celtics, the Catholics, fuck them, fuck the Protestants. Yeah, he'd always just be like, I think it's Protestant that, I think the Rangers are Protestant.
Yeah, the Rangers
so,
are Protestant,
yeah.
the Celtics Catholic.
Up the prods, you always scream stuff like that.
No, I mean, I love the strong rivalry in
Yeah.
sports there. I'm a big sports fan. Go Nats, go Commies, go Commanders.
Yo, big game tomorrow,
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. My whole life, they've won 2 playoff games, and now they've won 4.
I'm a Bucks fan, so you guys killed our dreams.
Sorry about your dreams.
Well, we beat the Eagles and the Lions and the Commanders this year, and I was like, we're going to go to the Super Bowl, Commanders, Lions, Eagles, and we'll be there. And
Y'all fought us better than
the Lions.
Although
looked
that was
terrible.
that game was a video game. It was.
Do you think they win tomorrow?
I mean, I would love them to, but even if they lose, this has already just been such a great season that you feel good about it. You know, I'm 31 years old. I was born right after they won a Super Bowl, and since then they've been such garbage. And I stopped rooting for them for a while. Yeah, I'll take another. I stopped rooting for them for a while because Dan Snyder, a lot of the scandals with him. I mean, the name is offensive. I know that's a relatively heated thing, but we're on a podcast, so we can say heated things, right?
Yeah.
People have strong opinions about this. My dad is a attorney for Native Americans.
You also totally screwed up the ASMR. That was your chance.
Yeah. I just went right for it. Now we're talking sports. Now it's the loud beer opening time. But yeah, he works with Native Americans all over the country, and it's pretty cut and dry that the Redskins name it's a slur. I mean, I just said it. I shouldn't have said it.
Dude, the Native Americans are. I mean, I don't know. I've never hung around too many Native Americans, but do the Native Americans agree? Like, because sometimes you see the people be like, "Oh, they don't like that. We got to change this because we feel bad." But do the Native Americans share that sentiment? Like,
they do, and a lot of behind the scene. I mean, Snyder was very corrupt, and he what allegedly is going on for a long time is he would pay good money to relatively disenfranchised poor Native Americans to film advocacy campaigns to keep the name. And then finally it got dropped because FedEx threatened to drop their sponsorship of the team. But he was driving the team to the ground for so long, and then finally...
I don't think I've met any Commanders fan that's like, we need Dan Snyder back. It's kind of like
it's
storybook that like his first year gone, they're doing what they're doing.
No, I mean, the guy is crazy. I mean, he got fired from the board of Six Flags because he made a official mattress of Six Flags that they like sold at the amusement park. I mean, they deliver it to you. You can test it, and then they deliver it to you. Like, yeah. So he was still like a majority owner, but he wasn't able to vote on board decisions because of how poor. Like, there's all sorts of articles on this. I recommend anybody, if they want to go on a deep dive, if anybody's a sports fan and like this weird stuff.
This podcast officially, we're anti Dan Snyder. Fuck Dan Snyder.
Fuck Dan Snyder. Fuck Dan Snyder. So it's great to like finally have a team. That's doing good things.
Good. Yeah, I feel the same because I'm an Arsenal fan, like I said, and that's got me nowhere ever. But the Bucks, I moved to Tampa from Richmond. I moved to Tampa in at the height of COVID because everything was closed. Florida was open. My buddy was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go." I was like, "I'll go with you." So we went down there, and then like the week before I moved to Tampa, we signed Tom Brady, and I was like, "This couldn't be better." And I put $100 on the Bucks to win the day we signed Tom Brady on the Super Bowl and won like $1,400.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was a big payday for me.
I used to do a lot of sports betting, but I quit a few months back.
I should.
It's not a bad decision. It's just you get to a point where you're just trying to find the edge, and you're way too zoned in on it. Like, I realized I wasn't practicing enough, I wasn't playing enough.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing things I enjoy doing as much because I was doing. I mean, it really is, in a lot of ways, it's an addiction.
For sure.
But
for sure.
But if you see that you're winning and you have the numbers and everything, you're like, oh, it's not an addiction. But it's like, you
just because you're doing well at it doesn't make it not an addiction. Yeah.
No, I mean, you see those guys who are jacked, because they go to the gym 6 hours a day, like they're addicted to that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are some positives from, like, I mean, yeah, they're jacked, right?
6 hours a day, that's gotta hurt.
I'm
Your
sure
back's gonna
sure
hurt.
it does. But that's what I mean is you can be addicted to exercise, right? Like, and exercise is good for you. You can make money on sports betting and still be addicted to it. And I sort of realized that, and have largely quit. Like, still do like some fantasy sports stuff and whatever, but like I'm not betting on English League 3 soccer anymore.
I feel like I used to bet probably on something like every day, and I've kind of got to the point now where I just really bet NFL. So we were actually talking about it in the drive up here. I was like, only 2 more weeks of football, and I don't have to worry about betting anymore. Because like you said, I mean,
But March Madness is coming up.
I could maybe win $1 million, the $1 billion from Warren Buffett. You're right.
Oh, no one will ever win that. The perfect bracket, the elusive perfect
impossible.
bracket. You can't do it.
You think
It
UVA
can't be
gets knocked
done.
out in the first round again this year?
Oh
As a
God!
one
I mean,
seed?
I don't know if they'll. I mean, they sore history, but they. I mean, I think that they probably will not make the tournament.
I don't really watch college basketball, so I don't know what's going on. I know Duke has
Our coach Tony Bennett, not the singer, because this is a music podcast.
I'm the biggest, like, there's a lot of dudes at JMU who like UVA, and, like, I was always the biggest UVA hater for basketball. So when I was still in college when they lost to, who was it they lost to?
UMBC.
UMBC. So I was like, fuck, yes. Like, I love to see UVA lose. Because they were like, supposed to win that year and everything.
Oh, yeah, but then we came back. We ended up
Winning the
in,
next
in
year.
2019.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome year for me teams because Nationals won the World Series as well in 2019. So got the college basketball championship and the World Series, and I was like, I can die happy. But now the Commanders are in the championship game, so I'm like, maybe I can't die happy anymore.
I hope they win, man. I'm rooting for you guys.
But I do love like, you know, as you know, we're talking about sports now, but you know, as far as music goes, it's all culture, right?
Yeah.
And culture is interesting, culture is fun, and I do find something beautiful about sports where it's just you know, like at a level it's just competition, and people can put their energy into something. It maybe speaks to, I guess, like the banality of all or something, but it's kind of hard to put. But ultimately, like, you can choose, I'm a fan of this team.
Yeah.
And then when that team wins, you're happy. And when that team loses, you're sad. And
Yeah.
But you're the one who chooses to root for the team that lost, and you choose to be sad. But you don't really, like, you're actually sad.
When you
And-
say that out loud, it's like kind of crazy, right? They're like, we've attached our identities to these grown men playing a game.
Yeah.
They don't know us.
I mean, that's the thing, and I also, like, you know, I could get way into it. I don't really believe in good or evil, or you know, I don't believe in free will. That's a whole conversation, and
We might have to have you on the podcast again.
No.
I'm curious
The
about
band
the free
makes
will
fun of
thing.
me. Makes fun of me for they're like, if Brian gets drunk and he brings up free will.
I want to talk about the free will. What do you mean you don't believe in free will?
Well, it's just free will doesn't make any sense.
That you have the freedom to make your own decisions?
Yeah.
Why doesn't that make sense to you?
So I guess you could say I'm a determinist or whatever. Like, we always would have been having this conversation.
Okay, like
Like-
so you're saying things are predestined.
Yeah, kind of. Like,
Okay.
I mean, like, as a simple, you know, it goes much deeper, but like as a kind of simple way to wrap one's head around it, it's kind of like there's, you know, cause and effect. If A precedes B and B precedes C, right?
Mhm.
That then eventually, like, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Like,
Yeah.
eventually you get to a point where you are, and then you continue from that point.
Okay.
Not like into the crazy multiverse stuff, the Rick and Morty stuff. I think that's the tokey, but yeah, just kind of that. Like, I mean, it doesn't mean that people shouldn't be held responsible for their actions. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't act as if, you know. It's not like I don't get out of bed in the morning because
Yeah.
I don't believe anything.
You know you're
matters.
going to end up at Whole Foods anyways.
Right? Yeah. It's kind of more. Have you read any Vonnegut?
I have read one book by him, and the name is slipping. It's an orange and blue cover.
That might be.
If
I
you
mean, it
told me,
depends
I
on the
know.
version. The Breakfast of Champions. It depends on the. But
I
anyway,
don't know. My buddy Sam is listening to this right now. He's like, "You motherfucker! I made you read that book, and you can't even remember the name."
Slaughterhouse 5 is one of my favorite books, and kind of got me started on this, I guess, spiritual journey of whatever. But you know, it's kind of like if you imagine all of time as a line, like we experience time in a linear fashion,
Yep.
right? But if you imagine time as all existing at the same time,
Okay.
like in the book, the Tralfamadorians, they can move between, they can experience their whole lives. They can kind of move through time. They're fifth dimensional beings. We're fourth dimensional beings because we
Okay.
experience time in a linear way. And so, like, using that kind of as a thought experiment or whatever, that you end up having a situation where it's kind of like everything that has happened continues to have happened. Everything that's going to happen continues to be happening. And I find actually, a lot of spiritual peace in that there's, when someone dies, they're not gone. They just cease to be existing in here. In this, they always will continue to have existed when they were alive.
I agree with you there for sure. That's what I always feel like. I also have not had anyone like super close to me pass away, so I think that may be a reason why I have that feeling too. But like when people pass away, I don't really ever feel a sense of like. Of course, there's tragedies that are sad, but like when someone I know that's older like passes away, I'm just like, they did good. Like they were here for a good time. They did a good job living. They were a good person. But I've never really like, even when my grandmother passed away, I was like, she was a good grandma to me. She's done good. And it's just like I've never thought that just death has to be a sad thing. So I think that's kind of related to what you were saying,
well,
right?
I mean, there is sadness too. I mean, I've lost some very close people to me very recently, actually. But at least in the past couple of years, a couple of very close friends, young. Really, really.
And
sad.
I think that's different. Like I said, my experience, I haven't had a close friend pass away. That would obviously be sad. But I'm thinking more
what's
of
sad
this
is that you can't continue to make more memories with that person. Yeah. It's not, it doesn't put a veil over all the good memories you had from before. Or
Agreed.
whatever.
Yeah.
And when I die, those memories will be gone. You know. But so maybe it's a little bit nihilistic or whatever too. But
not even in that sense. Like, if you were to pass away tomorrow, like your memories aren't gone. I mean, your memories are gone, but the memories of you aren't gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, if anybody who's listening is interested in going down the crazy free will path, and I mean LSD helps, but also there's a pretty short. I mean, it's more of a paper than a book, but it's called Free Will by Sam Harris, and he's a bit of a divisive character. He's one of those. He can be a bit of a talking head, right?
Yeah.
And they do debates and like debates with people who are religious because I think he grew up religious. He's not religious, like I was raised sans religion, not atheist, but not. Theist. I might describe myself as a theist, actually, in a lot of ways, but I'm certainly not organized religion. But anyway, Free Will by Sam Harris is a good way to wrap your head around.
How long
understanding. It's probably like 90 pages or something, and the print's not small.
So this
like
comes out.
It's like an afternoon read.
Okay, this comes out Monday. I might try to read that before I release the episode so I can talk about it a little bit.
Right. I might have a copy I can give you. I have to look in my bookshelf.
Okay,
but
cool.
It's just it does a very good job of explaining how from a philosophical perspective, but also from a physical perspective.
Yeah.
Like if I tell you to raise your right hand and then you do it, the part of your brain that sends the impulse to your arm activates ahead of when you consciously think you decided to do it.
Yeah.
So you're actually sending the impulse to your arm subconsciously before you even consciously go, I'm doing this kind of thing. And I think it, feeds a lot in a way. Like I feel like a lot of humans fall into a trap of human exceptionalism where they think humans are better than dogs or grass or rocks or stars or
we were
universe.
Talking about that the other day.
And it's just that like, no, we're all made of star stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Carl Sagan. Also, he also The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan is also a phenomenal book that I recommend to anybody.
Say it again.
Now that's a long read.
What's that one called?
The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan. It's kind of about the scientific method more than anything, but I think it's kind of like an essential read in general.
Isn't that funny? Like scientific method. When you first say that, I think of like my 6th grade history class, and there's like the 7 steps, like make a hypothesis.
Yeah, that.
So like when you learn that stuff in middle school, you're like, what am I ever going to learn this stuff for? And then the older you get, you start reading, start like asking questions of why things are the way they are. And then it's like, hey, maybe learning this in middle school.
And it's extra important. Extra important today because it's so easy to manipulate studies in order to further capitalist needs of a company or a corporation, and as we fall into a fascist corporatocracy.
Corporatocracy, that's a good word.
Corporatocracy, not to be confused with corporatism, which is a more liberal term, but corporatocracy is kind of what we're headed to. And I hate getting into it, though. I do feel that I have a lot of friends a lot of close friends who I've been trying to talk about everything that's going on in America today, and the general vibe is like, can we not talk about that right now? And I'm like, but it has to be talked about or nothing. I mean, it like, and what can I do? What can anybody do? Right? But it has to be talked about, and so. But anyway, as we do fall into this, I think it's important to kind of just look at everything. Sort of lost my train of thought.
Yeah. No, we've been.
I'm trying not to get too inflammatory. Again, music podcast. So let's talk about sports and the government, right?
Well, I'll help us pivot a little bit. So, so you grew up doing classical. Did you have like kind of any inspiration musically when you were starting? Like, were you into the Dead? Were you into like any specific bass players? Like, what kind of got you wanting to play music, or just kind of fell there?
I mean, it's kind of been all sorts of stuff always. Like, I love a lot of different music from all around the world, especially. But I mean, growing up when I was younger, like I definitely went through, I was 11, 12, 13, kind of an emo phase a bit. But even then I was still listening to like
Chewy Otis, Baby You'd Never Last a Minute in the Creek, or whatever that song is, you know what I'm talking about?
But actually it's funny, I found my old iPod Shuffle from like middle school, and boy, like it held like 100 songs or something. It was a hilarious.
Down in the dirt.
That was on it. That was on
it.
it. Of course, that was on it. But I also had, some Mahler. Gustav Mahler is probably my favorite composer. I had some Mahler on there. I had.
So you've been listening to classical music before you were playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, I mean, I grew up with the Talking Heads, the Ramones. Bob Marley. I mean, fond memories of when I was like a little tot. My parents, in order to tire us out to go to bed, we had a record player in our log cabin, which is a funny phrase for an upper middle class person from Northern Virginia. But we had a record player in our non-central heated log cabin that's now that's been torn down and it's a big McMansion. But he had put on. Jamin by Bob Marley. He put on that record, but when it got to Jamin, it was like, you got to put all your jammies on because he's jamming. So you put on your jammies. So then we danced in our jammies and we get all tired out and go to bed.
Nice.
So that was my parents' trick to get us to go to sleep.
That's like a good childhood memory right there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
And so I grew up with a lot of, I mean, the Beatles a little bit, Led Zeppelin. I mean, my Dad was especially into both bluegrass and actually Celtic music.
Okay.
Was a huge part. The band I've probably seen more times than any is called Solas. They don't play anymore.
Is your family
probably seen them
Scottish?
17 times. French Irish.
Okay.
French Irish. Last name's Roy. That's the French part. But I got the beer gut like an Irishman.
And no Catholicism in that house.
No, my dad was raised Catholic, so I didn't have to be.
Gotcha.
I think it was
Took one for the team.
My mom was raised Protestant, but,
okay.
but now they're both kind of sans religion. I think my mom's more agnostic, my dad's more atheist.
Okay.
But I grew up in Northern Virginia. There was I had friends who were Hindu. I had friends who were both Protestant and Catholic. I had friends who were Buddhist.
That doesn't matter when you're a kid, though. I feel like
it doesn't. But like the family,
you don't even
but
know.
you see the cultures and stuff. Like I went to camp with, I went to a Jewish summer camp with some friends of mine who were Jewish, and all the people were coming to ask me, like, what's it like to be Christian? And I was like, I'm not. Like we do Christmas, we do presents under the tree. Santa exists, but like.
That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, like no church or Bible study or any of that stuff.
I had to do the whole 9 yards. I was in the acolyte. I was lighting the candles in the church. I had to go to confirmation before service on Sunday. And I was like...
But it saved your eternal soul.
I was like...
And while I burn in one of the 9 circles of Catholic hell, thanks, Dante...
I was like telling my parents, I was like, y'all don't even believe in this shit. Why am I doing this? This isn't fair.
Well, again, culture... is that, like, in a lot of ways, culture can be good, and you can have mixed experiences. Like, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, my parents will probably listen to this, so, but anyway, like, I think my dad's experience in the Catholic Church was negative.
Yeah.
And my mom's experience in her Protestant church was positive. Mm-hmm. So I know there was some debate early on. It's like, should he go to church? And it's like, well, you don't really believe in God, but she was like, my mom was like, well, but it's good community, and you make friends, and you socialize, and you do all that stuff. But it's just like, well, you can do that by joining a soccer team or doing,
playing upright
doing
bass,
a club or whatever, any other thing. So it doesn't need to be coming from that. But it is culture in a lot of ways. Like I don't want to speak, totally ill of religion. I think it can be bastardized.
Absolutely. Like, I'm from Chesapeake. Young Life was big in Chesapeake. Do you guys have Young Life in Northern Virginia?
Young Life, is that like a cult?
I mean,
I do find cults fascinating.
it's like kind of a cult, but like it's a religious like youth group kind of for high schoolers, I guess. And I was like pretty involved in it. And looking back, I was like, some of the stuff we did was kind of cringe, but like that's where I made some of my best friends too. So it's just like that community and that culture, like you were saying, it's not all bad just because some of the messages might be hit or miss. But
right.
yeah,
I mean, it is like I do think it's silly that like people will, look to ancient texts for moral guidance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
so you just can't be nice on your own.
It doesn't take a fucking genius to not be an asshole.
Yeah,
that's
like, what I feel about it.
It really is like, and it's baffling to me. And when you hear like theologians talking about how it's important to be spiritual, I'm like, but like, I mean, spiritual can just be. I mean, spiritual can be there's no free will, and you know what I mean. Like what spiritual can mean all sorts of things. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I feel like we're kind of on the same page here. It's like we can dive into this conversation, but it might just go on way longer than we need it to.
Yeah, true. I hope your listeners don't hate this episode. They're like, when did this become a sports ASMR? Sports ASMR sociology religion podcast.
Well, hey, it's about the culture of music, and you're in the culture, so such is life. If you don't like it, there's a button on your phone, you can change it.
that is true.
All right, what else we got here?
Checklist.
Yeah, I had some questions here. So, like I said, I'm from 757.
Love Virginia Beach.
Love Virginia Beach.
Actually, I got so I'm from like inside the Beltway, DC suburbs, Northern Virginia, right? And when I first started playing with Lewis, I went down.
You might answer my question before I even ask it. Here.
Maybe, but I went down to the beach to kind of get to know him better, his friends better, play more music with him, practice more. And like a year or less than a year, we met. It was his first year of college, my second year of college, so the summer after that. So I go down to stay with him for like a month in Virginia Beach and meeting his friends. And so many of them were like, I can't believe you're from DC because your vibe is so Virginia Beach, which I took as a compliment, but it is interesting to think about, like the vibe from place to place. I mean, there is a different vibe between VB and DC. I think it's because I have like the opposite of anxiety.
Yeah,
welcome it. Like I have horrible clinical depression, but
sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing.
It's like no. I mean, it's kind of a joke. I'm serious, but it's kind of a joke because some of the other guys in the band can be anxious. Like anybody can be pretty anxious, and I'm very very much like, we'll figure it out. If shit hits the fan, we'll figure it out. We'll clean it up. We'll get some Formula 490 or whatever and clean the shit off the fan, right? Like that's how I feel. If the shit hits the fan, then you deal with it in that moment. You air the place out. Sometimes which is, it's kind of nice to feel that way, but also, the depression. So it's the other end of the stick. So I take the same meds the anxiety people take.
So Kendall Street is a street in Virginia Beach.
Yes, it is. Very small one.
So why are you guys Kendall Street Company if you all met here?
Or
am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
So Kendall Street is in Virginia Beach. Lewis lived on a street, East Admiral Drive. I guess I shouldn't just send address. Whatever. Too late now.
I can.
Nah, it's probably fine.
Okay.
Lewis lived on a street off of Kendall Street. So Kendall Street is the last entrance to the Bay Beach. Before the Point, which is a national park / military training facility, and then it turns into like the Virginia Beach.
Yeah, that's is that on the Sandburg side?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
So it's right at the end, and because it's the last street, the houses end like right there. So if you just walk a little over, you use the Kendall Street entrance to the beach, you walk a little bit over, you can have a fire and drink beer and smoke weed, and you're 18 years old, and
free will,
and exactly exert your free will, which may or may not exist, and not really get into a lot of trouble. So so there was kind of like a crew or a company, if you will, that would hang out on Kendall Street, and that was kind of the crew of Lewis and Andrew Drehoff Dre, our original saxophone player, who left when he graduated college. You
guys still talk to him?
Yeah, we do.
Damn,
No, he's a great guy. No, he makes way more money than we do.
Okay.
He got his master's degree. He's
But is he having fun?
yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
I think he is. I think he knew what he wanted and he went for it, you know? And that was a moment when everybody was graduating, like kind of, and we were all like sort of slightly different years too.
Yeah.
So when everybody was graduating, there was a moment where, you know, it's kind of like, are we doing this or are we not doing this? So there was, you know, a little turnover then, but that's way in the past. But anyway, the two of them, you know, had kind of this friend group that would all go hang out. And so I got to meet them really well over that month. And then when we'd been playing as Lewis Smith Band for a few years, and we were talking about we'd recorded our first EP, which has Cars, Marty, and Wasted, and also there were a couple B-sides on it that didn't end up getting released, but those three came out. We recorded it, and we were like, we need a band name. Because Lewis was like, Lewis Smith Band is like, you know, this is like me playing with a bunch of random musicians that I've used for years. Like, we're a band now. Like, I want a band name that
cool
reflects that,
good
you know?
For him, I feel it.
Yeah,
That's
I think
cool
there was
thing to
also
do.
maybe a little fear of, like, we're from Charlottesville, we have a saxophone, so Dave Matthews Band, it's like, you know, you just immediately like a, you know, lesser than or wannabe of that. And so we were brainstorming names. There was all sorts of stuff that came up. I mean, I think one of them was maybe 118B was maybe one of the names that was suggested. I think maybe Ryan came up with that one because that's the exit to get off of the highway to come to Charlottesville.
Why do I know that?
But it's also the exit. Weirdly enough, 118B is also the exit you take to get to Virginia Tech.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it just so happens that
That's
the way the highway
I would take to go to
Yeah.
Chesapeake from JMU.
Yeah. So that was one that came up with, you know, that's kind of like a UB40 or whatever style name. There were some other ones. We joked a while about Boner City Skyline. I was a big fan of Boner City Skyline.
I feel like that was your idea.
I think it started as like a trivia name at Mellow Mushroom that we had one time. Where like me, Lou, and Dre, and maybe Ryan we're at Mellow Mushroom, and we were like Boner City Skyline. So, and then we might have gone out. I was like, yeah, all the skyscrapers, they look like boners. Like, you know, you can imagine. You know, you saw the mushroom tips on the buildings. You know, and you know, Trump Tower is really short. But I'm above penis size. No, nobody's above penis size jokes. But anyway, so yeah, so we were talking about the names, and then I think if my memory serves, which it never totally does because I smoke marijuana and drink beer, but if my memory serves,
Free will's
Dre
doing you
came
dirty.
up with Kendall Street Band, and I said that sounds like a jazz outfit. And what about like Kendall Street Company, not like co, but like the company, like the people that hang out. Like the idea of the name is like the company you keep, not co. So actually we've had to tell people online to change postings. Now we usually send it out, but we've had it like on a marquee or whatever, or the ticket link. It's like you cannot abbreviate co.
Yeah.
Because it's not like company corporation. You can abbreviate street because it is like street.
Yeah.
So like it's like a brand name guidelines or whatever, which is kind of funny. You know, we are running a small business as
I mean,
musicians.
the other day
here,
when I hit you
but,
up, I was like, how do I do this credits?
But I think it's important. Like, I don't want people to think about us as like KS Corp. Like, I want them to think about it as, you know, like the company.
Yeah,
like
sure.
if you're a fan, you're part of the company.
Yeah.
If you hang out with it, you guys are part of the company, right? Like
you guys are part of the All Jammed Out company.
Yeah. You know, it's the company. So yeah, and then you know it works well. Like it's kind of longer name, but it works well with an acronym. You know, the KSC acronym. We're trying to dig into the KSC thing.
Yeah.
What is yes?
So who's
And
Marty?
Espanol. Marty. Well, you should know because it's fun fact about the Marty song. It's the only song I really know where a non-public figure has their full name put in the song, right? Because it's near the end. It's Marty Carilli. It's Marty Carilli. Okay. Is his name. And it's a friend, a member of the company that hang out out there. And Lewis wrote that song actually. I think when he was in high school, it was one of the first songs he wrote. And so it was before I even knew him. You know, we write together, we write separately, we bring songs to the band. But that was one that Lewis had kind of locked and loaded. And I guess he was smoking too much weed in high school, so he made the song about Marty was smoking too much weed. And the original lyrics are really bad. I shouldn't say them, but I'm going to. It was. Marty, you're a fucking dumbass. You have super AIDS. Like from South Park. I mean, we're all big South Park fans. I mean, but you know that it's not that serious.
I need someone out there who's listening. I don't know what. I need you guys to draw the Kendall Street guys as South Park characters.
I would love that. I would love to be a South Park character. Hopefully Trey and Matt are listening. Big fan.
Yeah,
big fan.
They gotta be. Who's not?
Yeah, so that was the original lyrics, which pretty quickly we changed because you can't say super AIDS. It's you know, and like I like to be provocative. I like to be provocative. I like to be offensive. I mean, Dead Kennedys are one of my favorite bands. Yeah. Provocative and you know, just speak to my political beliefs, right? Like, but you know, like provocative. Or Frank Zappa, love Frank Zappa. Yeah. Like
he's got some wild ones.
He's got some stuff you couldn't release now. Yeah. You know, and so it's kind of like, you know. Well, it's good to be provocative. There's a certain level of, you know, you can't say, you can't say super AIDS anymore. You couldn't even say it on South Park anymore. That was 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Like we're kind of coming back though a little bit. I feel like
maybe
20 years ago you could get away with a lot, and then they started canceling people, and now we're kind of at a point where we're like, fuck it. Okay.
Well, it's tough because you can't cancel everything for everyone for all the time because they say something you don't like or that's moderately inflammatory. And I do think people have the ability to at least, you know, rethink their own. Like, it's dangerous to completely block people out for saying or doing something relatively minor, which I know is that's incredibly relative, right? Because there's some serious shit that people deserve what they have coming to them, right? But you know, by and large, I think people have the capacity to change. But when you create an echo chamber and you shut people out of the, you know, more positive side of that, you can just cause them to double down on their beliefs rather than actually re-evaluating them and thinking about them. Like with the Redskins name that we talked about earlier, which I still shouldn't be saying that word, but you know, like that sort of idea, you know. But yeah, those were the original words. Fucking dumbass. But he didn't like calling his friend a fucking dumbass because Marty, if you're listening, you're not a fucking dumbass. I like you very much. And he's not. He's a smart cookie and a very nice guy. And also, as far as I'm aware, is not immunodeficient. So we did have to change the lyrics, and Lewis came up with you like funky bluegrass, you have super haze, because super haze, like he's so blazed, is like the kind of point of the song. And you know,
so
funky bluegrass is actually a lot of what we were doing at the time because I was still on upright at a lot of our shows then.
I think you guys still do funky bluegrass just in general, but
we do. We've actually done a couple shows as Kendall Street Grass Company, but it's been a few years since we've done that.
So you mentioned the songwriting and that you all kind of do it. So as someone, big Kendall Street Company fan myself, big part of the company.
You look normal sized.
You guys have like a song like Cars that I think is a very like well-written, good song, great song. And then you have songs like Crab Surprise, Laura, I'm Sorry About the Cobbler, that like, I love those songs, but why?
Damn, shots fired. You said, Cars, a song written by Lewis Smith. This is this beautifully written song. And then Laura, I'm Sorry About the Cobbler, and Crab Surprise, songs written by Ben Lederberg.
Do you want to, okay, one second though. My Wi-Fi password is Crab Surprise.
All right.
I'm not even joking.
Digging yourself out of the hole.
My PlayStation username is Crab Surprise. Not even joking.
Actually, I think Lou and Ben worked together on Crab Surprise pretty strongly. I mean, we all work together on all the songs. We actually do a like with our royalties, like there's a blanket royalty everybody gets on a song, regardless of their contribution level to the song. And then like if you write all the lyrics or most of the lyrics or whatever, you can kind of get like a few points on top of that. I mean, royalties, we're barely getting paid shit. I mean, like we're not getting played on the radio and or at least not top 40 radio.
Is that really the only way to make money from playing? Like,
oh, it's impossible to
obviously
make money from doing anything. You play the shows and Ticketmaster takes all your money. You go on Spotify and they take all your money. Yeah, everybody takes all your money.
I'm gonna plug you guys. I'm gonna plug you guys real quick. If you're listening to this and you're in Virginia, they're doing a Virginia is for Lovers tour special where you can get a ticket to all the shows for $170.
$175, and then you can get a plus one with it. So you can take a friend to the shows for like another 100 or 120. It's like 300 to have.
Great show. Check it out.
16 shows. So
16 shows. You're like at $11 a show right there.
Or actually, it might be 17 or 18 because I think the pre and post parties at the end of January and beginning of March are included too. But yeah, like part of why we did that is because like we can do that and kind of bypass the.
Yeah.
You know, I figure we're far enough into the podcast.
It goes straight to the. Yeah, if you're still listening now, it's free reign now. We can say whatever we want, but. I did see that you guys get all the money for that. All goes directly to Kendall Street, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a small fee because, like, you know, the payment processor online takes a, you know, like a 2.9% fee or something like that on the ticket. So there's still a fee, but like the 2.9% you're paying there is nothing compared to like the 40% that you're getting from Ticketmaster. Yeah. In addition to like additional venue fees and all sorts of stuff.
I don't know how that's legal still, like the Ticketmaster stuff.
We could talk about it all day. It's pretty fucked. And I'm not optimistic that the new administration is going to change anything about what is and isn't legal for this.
So who influences like those decisions? Can someone make a law that's just like no bullshit fees? Like how does that kind of
Well, I mean, it comes down to like antitrust, like monopoly legislation, essentially, where it's like you have a company that runs so much that they can just do whatever they want. Because if you, like, we play at Ticketmaster venues, we can't not. Like, otherwise we just can't play in your city sometimes. Like, every venue uses them. And they get kickbacks from the fees, a lot of times the venues do, so that they're incentivized to use them. And then also they sign artists to make sure that they only play Ticketmaster venues, or they get deals that are only
okay.
So like there's a lot of Ticketmaster Live Nation. There's a lot of issues with it right now. You know, I wish we collectively as musicians had a better way to unionize or anything. Yeah. I mean, we have performance rights organizations. Like I'm a member of the ASCAP, ASCAP, as it's affectionately called. Yeah,
nice.
I like to call them butt plug. But you know, those things help, but they're not exactly a union. And there's only so much that can be done. I mean, they bleed the venues dry too. I mean, it's really sad.
It does suck because like it's hard like to see, you know, your guy, whoever you like a lot, comes into town and tickets are $40. Okay, $40. I'll pay $40, and you go to check out and you're paying $71 for what's this? Where's?
Actually, I have a good story about this from recently. Like within the past year, we played a show in Virginia Beach, probably 400, 500 tickets or something.
Where at?
Elevation 27.
I've heard that's a good
cool place to play.
Yeah.
But they are a Ticketmaster venue, like most venues. And we
can we back up before we get into this? How does one become like? Can't they just be like, no, like we don't want to be a Ticketmaster venue?
Yeah, they could, but then they could, but then essentially Ticketmaster as acts, they'll like won't let their acts play your
okay, that's what you're saying. They sign artists.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a lot of it's more nuanced than that, but it is like is a gist of it. Yeah.
So if Ticketmaster came to you guys and they were like, we want to sign you, give you this much money, but you can only play our venues, what do you guys do then?
Well, we operate as we're all equal decision makers in the business. There's 5 of us, so it depends on what 3 or more of us think.
But you would be like, fuck that?
I would most certainly be like, fuck Ticketmaster.
Okay. That was the answer I was looking for. Because, it's like, it's one thing to say that, but then if Ticketmaster comes to you guys.
And they come to you and they say, here's a silver platter. I mean, at a certain point, it becomes hard to say no. I empathize with people that do it, you know. But they don't exactly sign you. It's just that, like, they're like entire agencies like you have a booking agency or a management or label or whatever, and like they'll have a relationship with Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster will cater to that relationship so that their artists play at their venues, and so that's kind of how it happens. But anyway, to move things back more toward the songwriting side of things.
Yeah, sorry, that was my fault. I was pushing that one.
I can jabber and talk, and I can talk anybody's head off, but and go on all sorts of crazy tangents. ADHD is a wonderful superpower. But anyway, so yeah, with the songwriting, we all have like blanket credit we all get on stuff, and oh wait, well I missed my story about Elevation 27.
Yes, sorry.
I should tell that first before we go back to the songwriting. So a couple of a cool group. I think there were 3 or 4 of them. They were very nice. And they were like a little starstruck, which is not something I'm super used to. I mean, I play bass, but also, it's like, we're not huge, but they were a little starstruck. They were in early 20s, and they were at the show. They showed up really early. They didn't know like that there was like, an hour before the opener started, and then the opener played an hour, and then so they were there like super early. And I was out smoking a cigarette with some of the guys, and they came up and were talking to us and asking us questions. We just started hanging out with them because we're pretty down to earth, normal people. If you get us at a normal time, I get bands that do the whole like paid meet and greet VIP thing or whatever. But for me, like for me, it's like find me, I'll talk to you. You know what I mean? Like or I'll have a cigarette and
if you time it right,
have a chat. If you have it right, I'll chat with you. Like I'm not hiding from anyone. Like we make ourselves available. I think to talk to people, but yeah, and eventually they asked me the question. They were like, when you guys made it big, was there like one purchase you made that like you wouldn't have made otherwise? And I kind of just looked at him for 5 seconds, and I was like, I'm on Medicaid. Like I had nothing but I'm on, like, I get free healthcare because I'm that poor. Like it's like trying to make ends meet paycheck to paycheck kind of stuff. Like when we made it so big, but then I realized they paid $60 for their ticket or $55 for their ticket. But like at that show, I did the math. We walked out of there. Our paycheck for the show was maybe 500 tickets sold. The price point was like $37 or something, right? Like I think people paid like 50 something after fees or whatever. We walked out of there with $2,300.
The band
walked out of there with $2,300. Ticketmaster fees alone were $2,750. The venue itself made a cut of maybe $3,000 or $4,000, and we don't get any of the alcohol, the exorbitant priced alcohol sales or anything. And there's nothing against Elevation 27. I like that venue.
Yeah.
This isn't them, but it's just like these people come, they see 500 people at a show, they paid $50 for a ticket. I mean, you can do the math. That's $25,000 fucking dollars.
Yeah, and you guys are
we're walking away with less than 10% of that.
Yeah.
That's what musicians are facing today. That's why your favorite bands are stopping playing. That's why it's people, and it seeps into the emotions of the band too. I mean, maybe this is the most important thing I've said. I've seen memes online about the band, Twiddle and Dopapod and Papadozio stopping playing, right? Yeah. And I don't know the behind the scenes stuff from those bands.
Are not no name bands,
right? We've played with those guys. We've opened for those guys. They're really great musicians, and it's like, why are they stopping playing? It's like, well, you talk about, prices rising for stuff. People paid $20 for a show 5 years ago. They're paying $40 or $50 for that show now, but the band is walking with the same amount of money that they made 5 years ago from those $20 tickets. And that as a thing is one component of why these bands are stopping playing, because it's just like how you think they're doing so well, and they don't have no savings. They don't own property. There's and that, like, at a good level, people that you admire, people with Wikipedia pages, for them as individuals,
people that you want on your podcast,
they're struggling to make ends meet. And then when you're all struggling to make ends meet, emotions run high.
Yeah.
it's why does the show not have enough tickets sold? Who fucked up? Who didn't do the promotion thing right? Who didn't do this? What part of management? Which employee? Which person that we work with? Which band member isn't carrying their all? Who isn't doing? And you get into these, like, instead of being like, this is awesome, I'm on tour, I'm having a great time. It's like, I can't afford lunch.
Yeah.
And then that just seeps into everything else, and you get on each other's nerves. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened with these bands. I just know that the money isn't there really anymore, and you know, I know that can.
Do you think
like create emotions? It's happened with us. Like we've had to kind of sit down and be like, everybody calm down, it's going to be okay, this is one bad show.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 400-person room, there's 20 people here, this sucks, but it's snowing outside.
So that still happens to you guys? You guys only have 20 people come to a show?
Well, yeah, I mean, we played in Syracuse, New York, and they were supposed to get an inch of snow, and they got a foot. But, like, it started, like, right at doors.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, we sold more tickets than people showed up. But it was, like, 20 people in, like, a 500-person room.
Do you think
and that was
there's a
sad
solution
because,
to that?
like, damn, like, you know, it sucks to play for 20 people in a lot of ways. Though you get up and you do it and you have fun. But sometimes you have to remind each other, like, let's go up there and have fun. Let's
make the most of it.
Sometimes you jam even harder when nobody's there because you're like,
let's try something new.
Worst case scenario, it crashes and burns. You know, you know what I mean?
What do you think is is there a solution for that? Is it just come down to corporate greed, like Ticketmaster?
I mean, it's the thing is that there's not a catch-all. Everybody wants one solution. That's why people don't want to talk about the politics, why they don't want to talk about the stuff. They want one solution that solves all of the problems.
It's not
and
like that.
It doesn't work that way. You can mitigate things, you can make things a little bit better. But you know, you try things. You sell bonus tickets off your own website so the fees are lower. You know, you just throw things at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
And then your pasta's ready, right? Like, you know, so that's kind of the mindset I think people should have, but also like knowing that like listeners who are listening who are huge fans of these bands know that like there are better and worse ways to support us. Like coming out to shows is a huge way to support us because you know that's the culture. That's I mean we're musicians. We're time painters. We're painting in time, and you know coming out and seeing us you know is important. I mean, the merch is big too, but now you know bigger venues, they take a cut of. That's part of why you're paying $50 for a T-shirt at the bigger venues.
The venues take.
Oh yeah, like 30%, man, like 20%, 30%.
Really?
When you go to a bigger venue, like any of those, like not as much like the club style venues, which are my favorite places to play because just that vibe, you know. But like the like arenas, like if you go see Billy Strings play at like Richmond Raceway, which I did last year, the T-shirts are $50. I know the Raceway is making like $15, $20 per shirt, and then they probably pay $10-12 a unit. And then you know there's probably you know the artist fee is probably pretty high because he's pretty pro, and so like you know probably you know Billy's probably making $15 per shirt. But if he's selling out of 1,000 shirts, he doesn't care. So he doesn't. I mean, I'm not calling out Billy String specifically. I shouldn't use him. He's a great guy.
Julian Bass. Shouts out Julian Bass. He's a Richmond tattooer who does a lot of Billy Strings work.
But he's worked with him as well. He's great. But it's really like these larger artists aren't super incentivized to poke the bear of this like corporate greed that's coming into the music industry because those artists have the volume that it's okay. They sell the shirts for $50 a pop, but they have a limited run of 1,000 shirts. They sell 15,000 tickets to the venue. They're going to sell out of the 1,000 shirts and make all the money. And if their profit margin is even just like $8 a shirt, it's like $8,000 just on that one show, just for shirts, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's covering a lot of your staff for the production of the show and then the tickets. So like as you scale, you can make a lot of money. So the larger artists, I mean, like, you know, I mentioned people the size of Billy Strings because he's big in our scene, but I mean, you get even big, you know, like the Beyoncés and the Taylor Swifts and the Jay-Z's, right? like they, you know, at that stage, like they probably have equity in those companies that are making the money off of whatever. It's you know, but yeah, it's hard to get money to the bands. It's like we're getting you know fractions of a penny every time you listen to one of our songs that we've released, that we've spent thousands of dollars recording and producing and releasing and paying for art and all that stuff. And you see like the AI art taking over. Visual artists, it's coming for the musicians too, but like you see the AI stuff taking over visual artist stuff, and it's like the problem is made even worse by like the fact it's like we have to pay. Well, there's no such thing as AI.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as A. Artificial is a misnomer.
Also, before we get into this, is there a time that you need to go?
I'm in no rush.
Okay, cool.
We can go all afternoon.
Cool.
Yeah, we don't. I think we're leaving at like 3:45 or something. So,
Okay, we're fine. Then.
Yeah.
So no A.
There's no A. It's just intelligence. Intelligence is a matter of the ability of a rock to do something. To put it pretty simply, or star stuff is a better way to put it. Going back to what we were talking about before,
Well,
but
AI is it's code written, right? Someone's writing a code.
Is that not what our brains are doing?
Yeah.
We're a series of impulses. We run on DNA, which is it's not a binary process. There's 4 variables, right?
Here, sorry.
But that's okay. But it's there's not. Like, I think artificial is false. I do think, the AI models that we build they're pointed, they're limited, but essentially we are playing God in a lot of ways. We're trying to create a living organism in many ways that responds to stimuli and answers prompts. That's what humans do. They're hungry, they eat. They like when you read a paper, like more literally read a paper for school or whatever. But what AI is being designed to do is things that humans do, though we design it pointedly. Humans are a biologically developed process over 4.5 billion years of the history of this planet and 2 or 3 billion years of evolutionary development that has led us to be the incredible strongest piece of processing power that manipulates its surroundings is the human brain that we're aware of, right? But ultimately it is, a game of ones and zeros where we are responding to stimuli, again, going to the free will thing. Like, we're responding to stimuli, we're making choices based on that stimuli. It's based on your genetics, it's based on your experiences and how those experiences shape what your feedback loops in your head are. So, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we're essentially creating intelligence. Mm-hmm. It's a lesser intelligence than humans. I'm skeptical that humans would be able to create a greater intelligence than themselves. It's a fun sci-fi concept. It could be possible, especially when you consider the physical limitations, where it's like, if you limit us to the size of the human brain, I don't know that humans would be able to necessarily make a more effective
why would we?
Being. No, I don't know. Why would we do anything?
I see, like, you see all the
to make life easier. I mean, I do think there's a lot of positive stuff to robotics in terms of like, if you get into essentially socialist theory. Where, like, robotics allow us in a lot of ways to work less. You can have shorter work weeks. You can have universal basic income. You can have more time to do passion projects and just enjoy being a human and enjoying being yourself. And we can do that with a lot of development. But part of the problem is who controls it and what's happening with it is that instead of replacing hardworking people's like busy time, like there's one currency that all humans have, right? That's time. Labor time. We have our time. We exchange our time for currency is a representation of time. Some people's time is valued way more than other people's time, and that's what your pay is, your hourly pay or your salary pay or your whatever. The more money you make for time, the more your time is valued at, and we can reduce the amount of time that people need to work with robotics and AI. But instead of doing that, companies prefer to absolutely trickle up the money and go completely to a single source or a couple sources, the Jeff Bezoses of the world, right? And because of that, we're some people are reaping the benefits of robotics and AI now, and it's not most of us. Yeah. It's the very, very, very insanely rich, and
that's typically how these things go, though.
Yeah, and because of that, so people still have to work 40-hour, 50-hour weeks to make ends meet in a lot of places in this country or worldwide, or they can't even make ends meet, or they can't even find a 40-hour-a-week job or any of that. And it's just like, you don't need as many people to do as many things, but instead of giving that extra profit to the people, we're giving that extra profit to essentially the oligarchs, the business people. I mean, oligarch just means businessman. Like it's well, sort of, but as how we refer to Russians anyway. But yeah, it's like, you see, like, you know, people who work at a fast food restaurant. I mean, they're getting paid in the teens an hour, right? And of dollars an hour, and it's like, now we're ordering on the machines, and there's a lot fewer people. Like, if you walk into a McDonald's, there's a lot fewer people working behind the counter now than there were 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, because they have these machines you can order on, everything. Same thing with Walmart, whatever. But if you're the level of, you know, 95% of Americans who might work at a Walmart or at a distribution facility or at a McDonald's or anywhere, you just lose your job. You don't actually get, like, what they should be doing is they should have the same amount of employees and they should work 20 hours a week. And then the other 20 hours a week of extra profit should be taxed and should be distributed to people. Like, that's what needs to happen in order for this to work. And it's scary with this development, because what it does is it takes people's jobs. Yeah. And it's okay if some jobs are taken, as long as people don't need to work to survive. Like, that's the caveat, is that if part of your job is now being automated, they just get rid of you. Or they pay you, if half your job's automated, they pay you half as much. No, automate half the job, pay you just as much, and now you have 20 more hours a week to go watch your favorite band, watch your favorite show, make a show, film a movie. I mean, I've just been watching, you know, these guys, great comedy duo, That's a Bad Idea. They're on YouTube, really funny. Okay. Really funny stuff. And they also do some like horror short films and stuff, like no budget. And these guys are getting big. I'm sure they're making some money on residuals and streaming and stuff. You can actually make some decent money on YouTube. But ultimately, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys on SNL one day. They're very talented. But my point is that you can go out there and make a movie. You can go out there and make music. You can learn an instrument instead of needing to, like, we have this idea in American society that your job is your worth and you need to work to be worth anything. And it's just like, as soon as skills are being replaced by AI, instead of having a government come in and say, we need to redistribute some of the gains of this incredible technology. I mean, in a lot of, like, incredible, it's amazing. I mean, I don't mean that in a good way. It's amazing as, like, I'm amazed by it. But, like, it needs to be, when those hours disappear, it's like, where do the jobs go? I mean, you have politicians saying, oh, China took the jobs, foreign government, the foreign places are taking the jobs. It's like, no, the jobs are just disappearing.
All goes back to South Park. They took our jobs.
They took our gerbs. It's true. And they have an episode about this where it's like the automation is turking the gerbs, you know? And it's like, yeah, you know what? Like, those people who work 40 hours a week at McDonald's probably would like to work 20 hours a week at McDonald's for the same pay. Yeah. But they're not going to be able to do that, because now they're just going to be fired, because the company can make so much more money just outsourcing this stuff with code. And soon we're going to have AI that writes AI. Like, I mean, this is a little bit of a Russian doll situation, where we are going to have a thing where you have incredibly powerful AI that can be trained to then kind of help write new, more pointed AIs to solve issues. Yeah. But I do think AI as a thing is a very misunderstood thing, but also on a more heady level. If anybody who is still listening to my crazy political rants is into psychedelic drugs, something you notice really early about AI is it had a lot of trouble with hands. Yeah. And you know, when you're dreaming, hands can be weird when you're dreaming. Yeah. Right? And when you're on psychedelics, hands can be weird. Just saying. And but really it's like this dreaming, and I've been following this like since Google Deep Dream AI like 6-7 years ago maybe, and I had some AI image stuff on my. I'm an idiot. I didn't buy stock in any of these companies. Like, I was like into this ahead of time, and I was a hipster of AI. Not into it because it's horrible how it's taking people's artistic creativity in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't know if you saw Coca-Cola has a full 30-second AI commercial. And it's weird, like if you zoom in, like it fucks up the logo a couple times and everything. And like there's a polar bear that comes out of the water, and it's like weirdly it makes you feel like you're on LSD or you're on shrooms.
Check it out.
And but it's scary. It's like this is where things are going. This is now you just have a few people writing code, and then the code spits everything out, and we're on our way in a scary way. If you've watched Black Mirror, like I think the second episode, A Million
That's what
Merits.
I always talk about is I was like, we're living in a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, I mean, always have been. I mean, that's sort of the point of the
Yeah.
show, and it also sort of went downhill, or reached too hard to make conclusions, I think, in a lot of ways. But that second episode where everybody lives in a box and they ride a bicycle and they buy things with invisible credits, because that's what money is, by the way. It's not real. It's made up, but everything's made up. The points don't matter. This is whose line is it anyway? But yeah. So I'm very frightened by it. I'm frightened by it as an artist because it's taking over. Our job. Like it has come for the visual artists, and it will come for the audio. Like
there's a website that my buddy showed me. He was like, you can just put in, I want to make a song about this that sounds like this, and it'll just spit something out. It wasn't any good, but like.
Is it Wolfram Alpha? I mean, they've been doing that for 15 years.
I can't remember what it's called. I don't know what it was called.
They were early on that. I wouldn't even necessarily call it AI, but they're I mean, there's stuff, and they can throw the things in and throw in parameters and have a new hit song or whatever.
Yeah.
What are all the Swedish songwriters going to do? Actually, a lot of hit songs are written in Sweden. That's the reference.
I don't know too many Swedish songs.
Oh, you know plenty of them. This Is America by Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
He
Swedish?
co-wrote that with a Swedish guy.
Learn something new every day.
No, I mean, ABBA kind of made the scene. There's
Swedish?
documentaries on this. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So wait, I hope I'm not totally misspeaking. Am I confusing Sweden and Switzerland? I totally could be. I am 2 pints deep.
We can look it up.
I think they're Swedish.
I think Sweden is
ABBA is Swedish pop.
Yeah, Swedish. Yeah. I was right with Sweden.
Great podcasting there.
But yeah, they do. They have a lot of like crazy. I mean, "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time." Britney Spears, Swedish. Recorded in Sweden as well, actually. But like they're incredible songwriters, and actually, this is one thing that maybe bring it back over to the music side. We have a few songs that are in Spanish, and I've written a couple of them. Hablo un poco, se me habla de todo. Estudiaba en Costa Rica por 3 meses.
Todos los
En la
días con
universidad.
amigos en la playa.
Perfecto. So I forget most of my Spanish. I was almost fluent for a time because I did a semester in Costa Rica when I was in college. But,
Where in Costa Rica?
We were in a small town called Carillas Alto, near
were we
Arenal
ju-
volcano.
Where did we just go? So you were northwest.
Pretty central, actually. The closest big city was Alajuela.
Okay.
Alajuela. But we also traveled around the whole country. But we were in the jungle up on the bus couldn't even go. We had to walk down to Carillas Bajo from Carillas Alto.
Okay.
Because it's one city, but we're on like the side of a mountain. So
Is
like
that tall and short, right?
no, you'd have to like hold on to hand railings to like walk down the sidewalk to the bus stop because it was so yeah.
Okay.
Tall, short, up, down. Actually, like Toco el Bajo in Spanish base is also Bajo, the low.
Bajo.
But yeah, I find it sometimes nice to write in Spanish because my grasp of the language is lesser than my grasp of English. And because of that, I don't care about all the bullshit. Like, you listen to some shit on the radio, like fucking John Mayer, he's great, right? But like God, Your Body's a Wonderland shit, it makes me almost cringe. Like, it makes me cringe a little bit. Sometimes lyrics make me cringe. I'm like, this is too corny, this is too stupid, this is too direct. It's like, I feel sad. I'm like, can you more creatively say I feel sad than just I feel sad? but when you're doing it in another language that you're not completely fluent in, but that you can converse in, you're less limited by the language. And that's actually what comes up with Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time. hit me up is what you say in vernacular English. You wouldn't say hit me baby one more time. It almost directly implies that you're going to physically hit a person.
It's a good point. I never thought about that.
But the song is clearly trying to say hit me up baby one more time. And God, that's a pop hit. That's a great song. And it's hit me baby one more time. And that wouldn't have been come up with by a native English speaker, because a native English speaker would have said that line doesn't make sense. And so they wrote this awesome pop song in English, because these are English as a second language speakers, and they don't care at all about anything other than how good does it sound. And hit me baby one more time, because that's it.
Now I'm just thinking of a Swedish guy.
The meter, lyrical
hits me,
meter,
baby.
yeah, like lyrical meter is so important in music, and having that is really important for the worldwide incredible success of that song.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, it can be somewhat nice to. And so most recently, our song "El Perro Triste," the sad dog, I wrote and came out a few months ago, and it's like, it's in Spanish, and it's like I don't have to care as much about maybe being a little weird with phrasing, because to me it just sounds good.
You're worried about that, and you guys have songs called "Aged White Cheddar" and "Crab Surprise."
Yeah, if anybody is listening who works in Big Cheese, Cheez-Its,
Cheese
like
Nips.
Cheese Nips, just
Andy's
Tillamook
Hot Fries.
Tillamook cheeses, Velveeta, Kraft.
Stop putting wood in the shredded cheese, first of all.
You can put whatever you want in it if you buy our song for your commercial. We would love some money, thank you. We have a song called "Aged White Cheddar," and it's about aged white cheddar. So if you have anything aged white cheddar flavored, this is my pitch. We're gonna make you millions of dollars, and we can be bought cheap, man. We are cheap, so inexpensive.
What
really,
if Ticketmaster's like, I'll buy it?
Oh, now that's tough. I mean, it's not like Kraft and Kellogg and all those companies are doing good things in the world. You know what I mean? Like, what if Nestle wanted to buy it? Nestle is probably a worse company than Ticketmaster. It just doesn't affect me as directly because I'm not a laborer in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, the silliness is, like, the humor, I think, is important in music.
For sure.
To take
you
it
guys
there,
that's why it's such a fun show, I think, is because, like, you guys aren't up there, like, taking yourself too seriously. It's like, we're here to play good music and have fun, and we hope you guys have fun. And
right.
I've been to 10 or more probably of your shows, and every time I leave there, I'm like, that was just a good time.
And there's seriousness to it, too. I mean, we have some serious and deep songs, definitely. Things about loss, love, death, all sorts of stuff. At the live show, those come out a little bit less often, probably, because trying to have a good time and be in a good mood. But, with the silly stuff, it's like sometimes it just happens and it's funny and you're like, let's go for it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel like there is an aspect of, like, people taking themselves too seriously in the arts sometimes, where nothing against people who are really serious. I mean, I love Björk is one of my favorite musicians of all time, maybe favorite, and she's incredibly serious, but very out there artistic too. She's also out having fun when she sings, but I think I take after, like, the kind of Frank Zappa school of just like, this is kind of silly.
All right, so we are back.
Back from the bathroom. How was it in there? Did you enjoy it?
I should have done ASMR.
Did you use the bidet?
I did not use the bidet.
Everyone should get a bidet. They're great. Don't be afraid to squirt your bum with lukewarm water. It is so much better than toilet paper.
I never really used one. I've used one once, and I was like, I stood above the toilet.
Well, I mean. Yeah, so, like, you can get those, like some places, like in Europe, they'll have, like, the separate bidet. Like, it's an entirely different thing. You get off the toilet, you go to the bidet. But those the add-ons you can get for, like, between $20 and $60, like, on Amazon, which, horrible company, but I still have Prime, because,
convenience is king.
Can't be, well, yeah, I guess that's what sucks, is how hard can you fight them when you're poor? Like, I can't buy all the boutique shit. I don't have enough money for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, having a clean bottom is underrated.
That's priceless.
And, like, especially like if you get some hair down there, I shave it.
You shave your butt?
Yeah.
No way.
I don't like little turds getting in my butt hairs.
Dude, as a fellow hairy butt guy, that is the crazy. What do you do? Like use a razor, like a trimmer?
Well,
when it grows back, is it itchy?
Yeah, razor. I used a straight razor for some time, but that was like sometimes I'd nick it. So
This is crazy. When we were in the bathroom break, he was just telling, "Hey man, you should find this is a long episode, so find a couple clips that you can post and get you one. This is definitely gonna be the fucking clip I use."
Yeah. No. I strong people don't expect it. That it's people don't think about doing it. They just don't think about doing it.
Does it not itch when it grows back?
Well, and then you just shave. I mean, it can be a little itchy, but like, so there's products they say don't use on the special places. Use only on face. But like, you're probably fine if you just like keep it out of the hole.
Oh my god!
But I'm just trying to give good advice to your listeners.
Okay.
It's just that it's so like you're gonna save so much money on toilet paper with the bidet and the shaved butt. You're gonna feel better. Your butt's gonna be cleaner. You can eat off the thing, which some people are into.
Yeah, we don't judge here. All right. So speaking of not judging, I want to bring back to you guys played Halloween last year.
Yeah. Oh, what a fucking festival! What a cool festival.
Is there anything about your show that sticks out? Maybe a couple people in the front row?
Maybe a few people in the front row, totally nude. Yeah, that was it. Our tempos were fast. I went back and listened to the show. Like I think we released it on Nugs, and we're on Nugs, and also you can
Spotify.
We have most of our everything we have on Nugs, and then a few other like exclusives are actually on our website.
Okay.
If you pay, I think $8 a month, or you can pay maybe like $50 a year or something. You can. And I think you can get a month free as well. You can get into the back end subscriber part of our website, which is basically kind of like our Nugs, but like we get, if you pay $8 a month for it, we get your $8,
okay.
which is nice. So
yep.
We have a handful of subscribers for that. And the show's on there, and God, our tempos are so hot. It's hard to focus with the. I mean, frankly, the titties jiggling and the balls jangling, and I mean, it's a whole.
So it started so we were front up there too. Like we were at the very front of that. That was I typically don't drink at Halloween. I just indulge in other things, and for some reason, the first Thursday I was like, I'm getting fucked up tonight. And you guys played a late set.
You decided to drink the first day, so you just hung over the rest of the time.
Well, I was fine. I was fine. But like, I was just so excited. I started drinking.
As long as you drink water, I mean.
2 J-Rad sets before you guys, so I was just like fired.
Oh God, I love J-Rad.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I was fired up, and like we're like front row. I'm like jumping, and then what was it? It was 2 girls first, right?
It was 2 girls and a guy.
Yeah.
And then another guy came in though, like. There was the naked.
No,
crew.
the nudity was contagious. It was people were getting more nude, and they were right in the front, like riding the rail, right? Like, yeah, and then they ended up getting past the barricade at one point, and security was trying to be like, go back to the other side, but no one wanted to touch him.
The girl had a rash on her whole body. One of the girls had like a full body rash.
I think I didn't look that close. I think it might have just been an acne breakout.
We were like this close to her. Like we were like. I don't know if it was right. Could be right. Could be an acne breakout. But I was just like, I wouldn't be naked if I was that girl.
Hey, I mean, all props to. I mean, if you have an acne breakout or a rash or whatever, and you get fully nude in front of 1,000 people at a music festival, like props to you. Like that's body confidence. Like that's. Yeah, like it's fine as long as it's not contagious. Like you don't want the contagious rash, but like acne breakout, whatever. Your body is beautiful. Do it. I mean, like that. It's cool, though. It is moderately distracting.
Did you guys? So you guys, I talked to you and what's the saxophone player's name?
Jake.
I talked to you and Jake before that show that day. I ran into you guys in the meadow or something. You guys didn't stay the whole time, though, right?
No, we were just there. So we played at like 12:20 or something like that. I don't know why I remember
Super
that
late,
time,
yeah.
but it was like a.m. was when our set started
on Thursday. Too.
But we rolled in at like 1, so 1 or 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So we had like the whole day to hang out at the festival and then play the show, which is dangerous because people offer you weed, people offer you drugs, people offer you beer, and I'm a yes man. And so showing up to the show 12 hours before the show can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But got a beautiful festival. I'd say anybody who is looking to go to a really cool music festival.
Not too big. It's perfect.
I love the variety of genre. To me, is really big. at some of the really big festivals like Bonnaroo, they do a great job of it, but it's also like, I mean, that's an 80,000 person festival. It almost doesn't count, but like, I get bored of only jam music for 3 days, or only bluegrass for 3 days, or only rock for 3 days. Like, I need some variety in there. And
I hope they put Olivia Rodrigo this year.
I mean, she's pretty good. I'm not like a huge fan personally, but it's good pop music. Like, as far as pop music goes, it's good pop music.
Good for you, banger.
But like, I mean, they had Alton Gunn was there. I got to see Alton Gunn, who I loved, and they're not playing anymore, so I'm glad I got to see them before they.
Who else played that?
They're a Dutch Turkish band, Alton Gunn. If you haven't heard them.
Oh yeah, Pretty Lights played. Les Claypool played.
Oh, I love Les Claypool. Yeah, he's also like so. As far as humor goes in our band, like I say Zappa, like I'm a little on the Zappa train, but I think my humor is also pretty Les Claypool style. Where it's very dark humor with him.
Have you heard of his band Oysterhead?
Oh, Oysterhead's
so
sick,
I went to the Sweetwater 420 festival in like, I don't know, 2021, 2022, and I met this dude, and he was telling me like he was an older dude, like probably in his 40s. And he went to Iraq and he had really bad PTSD, and then he started taking mushrooms to like help get better. And I was like, awesome, man, that's good for you. And he's like, this is my first festival ever. Like, I'm getting into the scene. I really love it. Like, people are making me feel good. And I was like, awesome, dude. Like, that's so sick. We took more mushrooms,
then went to Les Claypool.
And he played that one song.
Was it Too
Many
Puppies?
Vietnam, and he was a shell of a man.
Oh, shell
and
of a man.
that dude's just sitting there, and he's just like. And I was like, I cannot imagine what's going on in this guy's head right now.
I mean, or it could be cathartic to him too.
He was,
I mean,
he was good. But like at my time, at that point, I was tripping and just watching him, and I was like, he might go crazy here, but he seemed good.
Yeah, I mean, if they can help a lot of people. They're not right for everybody. Mushrooms are not right for everybody, or especially LSD, which is my favorite is LSD. But I don't do it that much, just because I don't like.
It makes me stay up.
I don't know anybody that has it all the time, and I don't like actively seek out most drugs. Mm-hmm. I make sure to have like weed on supply. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like outside of weed, it's kind of like, oh, this is the opportunity. Let's do it. Let's try it. But God, they are fascinating. But they can really really fuck you up if you're not prepared.
Yeah, I think you have to respect it. Like if you don't respect the drugs, then it's not going to end well for you.
Yeah, I mean, or
not even
it's a level of like people are worried or they want to do something. Like the thing is, like people go to a festival and they're like, I want to do this drug and see this band.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that works when it's like cocaine or Molly or some shit. But like for psychedelics, like you take the psychedelic and you do what you want.
Yeah,
you don't let other people cloud what you want. You don't get in the way of what you like. If you start being like, I have to do this, I have this responsibility, it just makes the trip not fun.
I agree with that for sure. So I had one last question, and then I'm all out of questions. Not that we're short on time, but your Instagram bio says fast food aficionado.
Oh yeah,
top 5 fast food.
All right, so before I answer that, I have to say
at 5 too.
I have a slightly enlarged liver. Prognosis is a lot better. I thought it was going to be worse, but they did some testing on it, and they were like, actually, no, it's just like a slightly enlarged liver. It's not seriously fatty. It's not. Definitely no cirrhosis, no hardening or anything, so you're good, but you got to eat a little bit better. So I've been trying to eat a little bit better. But we're on the road all the time, and there's only so many choices. Well, yeah, and it's like you can't like if we're on a schedule and we have to make a 6-hour, 7-hour drive. I mean, sometimes we drive overnight, sometimes a 20-hour drive, but like 6 or 7 hour drive or whatever, it's like you can't just be stopping every 30 minutes for somebody to do something. Yeah. So you kind of have to work together.
We spent $30 for breakfast at Sheetz this morning.
Oh God, Sheetz will fucking take all your money, and everything at Sheetz tastes the same. Definitely not top 5. Everything at Sheetz is like a bottom 5 because like Sheetz, I mean, it can hit the spot sometimes, but like it doesn't matter what you order at Sheetz, it all is brown and it all tastes the same.
I used to love it because they had like the 3 appetizers for $5 when I was at JMU, and I would just get stoned and go into Sheetz, and that was my dinner. That's just dip it in boom boom sauce.
All right, so you said top 5 fast foods.
Start at 5 though.
Okay, that's hard. I know number 1.
I'm gonna make my list while you do this too.
I want to keep the content interesting, so I'll talk. So I'll just kind of go. I'll say 5. At 5, I'll say McDonald's.
Wow.
Five is McDonald's because McDonald's is they're number one in one category. McDonald's
What's that category?
and McDonald's and my number one are the only two restaurants that have an incredible level of consistency, and I think McDonald's is even more consistent. It doesn't matter where you go in the lower 48 United States, a McDonald's is a McDonald's. The McDouble is the McDouble. The quarter pounder with cheese is the quarter pounder with cheese. The fries are the fries, and if they're slightly underfried or slightly overfried, they will fix it for you right away. Like it is like McDonald's is so fucking consistent that they're worth a good spot. Now, is their food good? It's all right. Is their food cheap? Not really. The prices have gone up a lot. They'd be higher on my list if the prices were more affordable now.
Okay.
Right? Number 4, I'm going to be unpopular here. I'm going to say Wendy's.
Okay.
Because Wendy's has... I guess there's some question as the definition of a fast food here, I guess also as well.
Drive-through.
Like, yeah, it has to have a drive-through.
Has to have a drive-through.
I like that. Okay. So, because I was like, is Five Guys fast food? Because also horribly overpriced. Still really good, though. So, 4, I'm going to say Wendy's, specifically because they have that, biggie bag deal. It used to be the 5 for 5 or 4 for 5 or whatever. But they have like 6 or 7 options of what to put in it. Like McDonald's, everybody's copying them, but McDonald's is like you either get the chicken or the burger, right?
Yeah.
Like they have like you can get the burger that's smaller and has more green stuff on it, or the burger that has the bacon on it, or you can get the chicken, or you can get the spicy chicken or whatever. And Wendy's spicy nugs are awesome.
Yep, I agree.
Awesome. McDonald's can't do spicy nugs. Wendy's can't do normal nugs. So depending on how spicy you want it, that can be your deciding factor. But to me, Wendy's is ahead of McDonald's because of those things. However, Wendy's is a risk. You can walk into a Wendy's and it can be absolute trash. They could be overcooked or undercooked, or they can.
So I had
fuck
Wendy's
up your
as my
meal.
5. Wendy's was my 5.
Wendy's is your 5.
Yep.
So Wendy's. Where was your McDonald's?
Not on it.
Not on it.
No.
Oh, you said interesting, like it should have been higher.
No, I don't think it should have
Interesting.
been on it.
All right.
So should I give my... So you gave your 5 and 4. Should I give my 5 and 4? So I have Wendy's at 5.
Yeah.
4, I have Hardee's.
Hardee's, interesting.
Strictly for breakfast.
See, we don't really have Hardee's in this area so much. There's a few. It's more Arby's than Hardee's, which I think are owned by the same. I mean, actually, all of these, like, they're all fucking owned by Coca-Cola, like the subsidiary. There's a great joke. I'm a huge fan of the TV show 30 Rock, and I just did a rewatch through it recently because my girlfriend hadn't seen it. And in 30 Rock, there's a joke about the Scheinhart Wig Company, which is, so NBC is a subsidiary of GE, right?
Yep.
Because Jack Donaghy is the director of television and microwave programming. At GE, so he runs NBC because it's a subsidiary. But Scheinhart Wigs owns the company that owns GE that owns.
Doesn't GE own like everything kind of?
Yeah, but that's kind of the joke is just that there's always some holding company that owns 10 other companies. That those companies own a bunch of other companies, and this is what a lot of people don't realize is when they're going, like, people make big stands about
If your favorite restaurant sucks now, it's because private equity brought them.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, like, Chick-fil-A has like their religious stuff and they're closed on Sundays, so some people boycott Chick-fil-A because their religious stuff and they're closed on Sundays. You know who donates a bunch of money to like all the same charities and puts all the money in the same places? Everybody who owns every fast food restaurant. Like, it's so hard for the consumer to make a choice, and it's and the companies lie to you. They say like you should use paper straws instead of plastic straws. Like that's gonna save the world. When really, and that's BP. BP is the one who does that. British Petroleum puts out all the shit. The carbon footprint was invented by British Petroleum, and because they want to make you feel guilty for the reason why things are bad. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
I mean, like the shipment of the paper straws over from China to California uses more fuel. Anyway, sorry, it's hard for me to. It's not the best week.
You're good.
for
good.
me as a leftist, but anyway, so after so I said McDonald's, then I said Wendy's.
Yep.
Number 3. Here's the tough one for me. Number 3. I have my 2 and 1.
Okay.
I have my 2 and 1. Number 3, I think I want to go with It has to have a drive-through. So,
What
even is a fast food? I'm gonna say, and Chipotle doesn't have a drive-through, so it can't be Chipotle.
Not Chipotle.
Then I'm gonna say
that's fast casual. That's a different.
yeah,
bracket.
fast casual is diff. What I'm gonna say it is gonna be Cookout.
Okay.
My number 3 is gonna be Cookout.
That was my number one.
Because it's horribly, horribly, horribly unhealthy, and if you don't have Tums at the ready, do not go to Cookout above the age of 25 years old. But
that is a consistent one. They do not mess up orders at Cookout.
they're consistent. They're fast as shit. They have so many different milkshake flavors. The
That's
milkshakes
the best
are
fast
awesome.
food burger.
The milkshakes are awesome. Their burger's really good, and it's just they have like a million options, and they're already so fast, and it's all fried, delicious goodness, and it's perfect at 1 a.m.
That was my number one.
So I just burped. So yeah, that's my number 3. Then the top 2 were really easy. Say number 2, which in a lot of respects is number 1. These are very close.
Okay.
Number 2.
I'm hoping we have the same ones.
Number 2 has got to be Culver's.
Wow.
Now Culver's.
Shouts out Luke Dotson.
So Culver's does not exist in the state of Virginia,
No.
and if anybody wants to be like a bazillionaire and has the time for it, they should convince Culver's to franchise into the state of Virginia. Usually they franchise into states one at a time, these chains. So there's no franchises for Culver's.
Culver's is fire though.
It is so good. The Butterburger, God, it's so bad for you. But it's delicious. The concrete mixers, which is apparently what they call milkshakes in the Midwest or something. I don't know.
It's a Wisconsin company. I
Yeah,
believe,
it's Wisconsin, which drives me crazy. That the one minus point for Culver's is their cheese curds. They don't do the cheese curds right. Cookout does the cheese curds right, the extra fried shit.
Sounds like
but
Cookout should be
Culver's
allowed.
Culver's has kind of wet curds. And so I
not a
wouldn't
cheese curd
I wouldn't
guy.
get the Culver's cheese curds, which is funny because they're from Wisconsin, and other Wisconsin cheese curds
That's
I've had are
their thing,
more
yeah.
like the Cookout cheese curds. So I don't know what they're doing. They're maybe trying to do their own thing with it, but it's more curd, less fried, and I like my cheese curd to bite like a fried calamari.
Okay.
You
Fair
know?
enough.
And so they're number 2. They lose points a little bit on expense, I think, a little pricey.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But you're getting. I do think you're getting
it's
a
not
little
too
bit better
bad,
there.
but it's like they get you because you go in, you get the burger, but
the
you don't want the
mixer.
burger and fries because they have some great sides. They got the pretzel bites. They got like beans and shit. So you're like, fuck, I'm gonna get the 2-side combo, and then you're like, well, I need a drink, and then you're like, no, I'm gonna get a mixer, but then you're like, wait, well, I still need a small drink because I can't eat all this food with just
I gotta
the mixer.
wash it down
It's
with
too,
Sprite.
it's kind of an ice cream.
Yeah.
So then you're eating like 3,000 calories and having a horrible time. But God, it's a great time. So that's number 2. And then number 1 is the cleanest restaurant in America, the cleanest restaurant chain, A+ everywhere across the board. They have super clean kitchens, incredibly good corporate policies that make sure their food is incredibly consistent. They're innovating constantly. They're finding new ways to add cheese to meat and meat to cheese. It is, of course, Taco Bell.
Yes.
They are cheap. They have deals. The app deals are always really good.
Great
They have online.
slogan, Live Moss.
You can get. I can't see Live Moss without saying Live Moss. I'm like I see the accent on the Moss. As someone that does a little bit of the English and Spanish,
Yep.
I see the Moss. So the first one to me goes Live. It's got to be
Live Moss.
Live Moss because there's no accents. The stress is on the second to last syllable, so it's Live Moss. But they are really the best. It's true. They have some of the best behind the scenes practices. Like they are 100 times cleaner than your local hole in the wall restaurant everywhere, and their food is just always really good. And I think the employees are pleasant generally. I'm surprised, but
Depends where you're at.
you
Someone
go
in
to a
Memphis is
Wendy's,
watching
like
this and they're
Wendy's
like,
and
"No."
McDonald's, and people are like they can be like rude and stuff. But at Taco Bell, there's just like.
So no love for Chick-fil-A.
I hate Chick-fil-A.
Huh.
I find cow to be more delicious than chicken.
Agreed.
Now, because
Anyone
of the
with a
liver
brain
thing,
would
I have
agree.
to eat more chicken than cow. but I don't like how they rub the Jesus stuff in your face.
yeah.
Cookout does too. I mean, they have a fucking scripture on their cups. You just don't notice it.
Cookout is not. That's a place to go, and 60% of their business is guys that are driving that should not be.
That is true. Though actually, the one in town here is, I'd say, about half their business is like
That's
high
where
schoolers.
we went after Jacob's wedding. We went to that cookout. I bet.
Really?
Yeah.
But it is I don't know, Chick-fil-A. They probably have the best chicken nuggets in the business. Them or Popeyes.
Popeyes is a good. Popeyes is slept
I mean,
over.
honestly, I might have snubbed Popeyes on this.
That's
list.
your meanest
The fact I
workers,
have
though.
Wendy's in the top 5 and not Popeyes might be a snub.
So my top 3 was Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, cookout.
Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, cookout.
I think Chick-fil-A is like, I know what I'm gonna get every time I go there. I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a nice half sweet tea, half lemonade. I'm gonna get a good spicy chicken sandwich, and I'm gonna get fries.
You're
I'm
an
gonna get
Arnold
the-
Palmer fan as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Taco Bell is like,
Great drink.
love Taco Bell, and then Cookout is just Cookout. You can't really beat Cookout.
Yeah, but to me, Taco Bell actually has. You have the ability to eat slightly healthier if you'd like to.
Yeah.
If you don't have something that's drenched in cheese or super fried, like they have less fried food because they're not a burger joint.
Yeah.
They don't like all the other places on our both
What
of
do
our
they
lists,
have that's fried?
It's fried chicken. It's fried this. It's fried this. All they do, like, it's all grilled. It's everything they do
Yeah.
is grilled. So you're not getting that like gross, extra fried, oily, extra fatty shit that's really, really bad for you. And it still tastes like that shit that's really bad for you. Not that a lot of their stuff is good, but they're always doing new stuff, which is cool too. And actually, I loved they had Omar Apollo, the musician. I hadn't heard of him until Taco Bell. I looked at it. He's pretty good. Not totally my thing. He's pretty good, but he had a hot sauce. It was Omar Apollo's signature hot sauce at Taco Bell for maybe like 3 months.
Yeah.
And by God, that was one of the best hot sauces I've ever had.
We had it last night.
Where'd you get it?
Not the hot sauce Taco Bell.
Oh, Taco Bell, yeah.
Yeah, no, so like a couple months, because they always go through the shit. Now they're on the decades
Yeah.
thing. And I like that innovation as a fast food aficionado. McDonald's is boring. It's the same menu they had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's just 4 times as
Yeah.
expensive.
No, and no
Taco Bell
no.
is barely different, but like those slight changes.
I miss the snack wraps
That's
from
nice.
McDonald's.
Oh, actually, yeah, there's McDonald's snack wraps. I missed the Monopoly game, even though they rigged it.
Yeah.
You know about that?
I do know
The
about
rigging,
that. Yeah.
rigging the McDonald's.
I do know about
They,
that.
they gave all the winning shit to like friends of employees at the factory. It was
I
a
fuck with
huge
it.
scandal. There was a lawsuit. It's all behind the scenes, but there was a lawsuit. They lost a lawsuit, and that's why you don't see the McDonald's game anymore.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
'Cause it
There'll be a
was rigged.
Netflix
It was
documentary about
rigged.
it soon.
True. There's a Netflix documentary about everything. We should film it.
We could.
Like, what's the South Park? Welcome to Netflix. You're greenlit.
We could. I think you and I we could get some things going.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're coming up on 2 hours though.
All right. Anybody who's still here, I commend you for listening
Yeah.
to my rants. Hopefully, you'll have me back on the show so I can rant even more.
Absolutely. I'm gonna listen back to it and pick out a few things that I think we wanted to talk about that we didn't. But
Yeah, no, we actually talked very little about Kendall Street Company.
yeah, seriously.
And we talked not at all about local dead people.
We didn't even touch that either. Well, I'm planning to come back to Richmond for the last show because you guys are gonna do the Broadberry, right, for the Kendall Street for Lovers tour. Are they all at the Broadberry for Richmond?
No, it's 2 Camels and 2 Broadberries.
So okay, so I think I'm gonna try to come to the last weekend for that to catch that set there.
I hope you do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah.
Fuck Ticketmaster. Shouts out
Fuck
McDonald's.
Ticketmaster. Yeah. Shots at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. No, yeah, the Lover Store, like you said, Lover Store is every year. This is the 4th annual, I believe, that we are doing it, where we play a few cities in Virginia. We do it every week at the same or similar
What is
venues.
it? Blacksburg, Charlottesville, Richmond, Virginia Beach.
Yeah, Blacksburg Tuesday, Charlottesville Thursday, Richmond Friday, and Virginia Beach Saturday is what we're doing this year.
Okay.
And so that's coming up. We're also playing D.C., Washington, D.C. on the 1st of March. And there's also a pre-show in Richmond on Friday. next
Anything
week.
for? I know we didn't touch about it, but he's in a Dead cover band with Lewis and who else?
It's really Kendall Street Company. It's
all of you guys? Okay.
Yeah, Jake put it together. Jake, our saxophone and keyboard player, put it together, and we. It's kind of like we're first call. It's a bit of a rotating, it's dead covers, right? So it's kind of a rotating lineup, and so Jake will get a show booked or inquire about
Any
a show.
upcoming
and then
shows for that?
Sometimes somebody's like, "Oh, I can't make that one," so then we get somebody else from another band that plays a bunch of Dead or whatever. So it's kind of fun because it opens you up to Dead catalog, which is good for like learning. You know,
you guys play an awesome New Minglewood blues. I love. There's a video on YouTube. Watch it all the time.
Maybe we'll get that on tonight, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have anything on the books right now, but in the next couple months, we'll definitely have a few shows.
Cool.
It's kind of a way to fill.
And I'll put those links to both those, Kendall Street, your Brian Roy, your Instagram, and Local Dad.
Yeah, my Instagram is Acid Classical.
Yep.
Spelled like how it would sound. It's actually, so people think it's about LSD and classical music, which in some ways I guess it is, because I do love both of those things. Also, if you want to cry, go listen to Mahler's Second Symphony. But the Bernstein recording is just absolutely phenomenal. But anyway, it was my sister had a T-shirt in high school that had a bunch of like fake genres on it, and one of them was acid classical, like acid jazz and classical music. And I thought it was really funny, so I made that my handle. Then I had not even smoked marijuana or been drunk at the point that I made my handle Acid Classical.
That's a good one.
So I guess fake it till you make it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. Did we leave anything out?
Oh, probably plenty.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll do this again. We'll do this again.
Sounds good. It was really fun.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was, huh?
Man, if you're still here, props to you. I know it was a long interview, but I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it as much as I did interviewing Brian. He's a really interesting cat. Yeah, he's got some cool things to say, and I think there'll definitely be another interview with him coming. And hopefully some more members of that band. They're a really awesome band, and I can't emphasize how cool that show was in a cave, man. There was less than 100 people under there, and they were playing some really good songs. It was a really awesome time, and unfortunately for Brian, his Commanders got smacked by the Eagles, but such is life. But it was a really awesome show. I really enjoyed being there, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Samantha, their tour manager. She kind of helped us out. That was a sold out show, and she helped us out to get us in there, snuck us in the last minute. So thank you, Samantha. I hope you're listening. But yeah, that was a really awesome interview. And before I let you guys go for the week, I just want to go over, of course, the local music here in Asheville this week. As always, we have the Grateful Family Band at One World Brewing West. And on Wednesday, we have Amabel Lee Band. That's, our buddy Alex Bazemore's in that band with his girlfriend and a couple other guys. They play at Asheville Music Hall on Wednesday, January 29th. And then Thursday, Alex Bazemore's band again, Fee Fi Fo Fish. They play at One Wood Brewing West. And then January 31st, we have the Ain't Sisters with Isaac Haddon playing at Asheville Music Hall. Check that show out. If you haven't heard of Isaac Haddon yet, he's a young buck on the scene here in Asheville. I just checked him out last week at Shiloh and Gaines with his band called Smut. They are really, really good. Smut's a wild name. I agree. When we have him on the podcast, we're going to have him on the podcast. We're going to talk about that. It's a wild name. But name aside, the band is really good. His drummer's kind of a legend too. But they're an awesome band. Check them out on Friday. Ain't Sisters, Isaac Haddon on Friday, January 31st at Asheville Music Hall. And then we also have on Saturday, February 1st, we have J Ladd. Not to be confused with J Rad, but we have J Ladd. Jimmy Lang's Almost Doors. I've never seen them, but my guess would be that they are a Doors cover band. So that's all I got for this week, guys. There's a really good show coming again Thursday. Keep it coming, man. I'm seeing things go this way as far as subscriptions and follows and all that good stuff, and it's really awesome. It's really encouraging. You guys hit my DM saying that this interview was awesome, or you want to see this person on, let me know. I'm really enjoying myself. I hope you guys are too. Good things cooking. Have a great week, and remember, wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. Have a great week, guys.
Come along, have a drink with me. We can talk about the world and how the world is turned so slow. Oh, oh. Day and night I found cars they drive and planes they fly. I look into the sun and the sky, you're so bright. It's you that I have found. Oh, and I know there's not much longer now. Or if the world would just slow